Guess you've heard of my reputation.
So this is queued up for the video?
Sorry, do you want to go video now?
This should be the video right now. If it is, start playing. Oh my God. Where did you lot come from? This is absolutely amazing. So the first thing I want to do is actually just say thank you. This is an amazing turnout tonight. And for those of you who actually can't quite realize, there's probably a couple hundred people down the bottom here, and then there's about another 100 sitting up top on the balcony area as well. So we've had an amazing amount of interest. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Tony Wheeler. I'm CEO and founder of ImagineX Ventures. And basically, it's my absolute pleasure in partnership with Phoenix VC and the Startup World Cup to bring this competition to Brisbane, to Queensland, to Australia. So to have this turnout tonight is absolutely brilliant. As the slide behind me says, we're not actually playing for small stakes here. We're down to 10 teams. You're going to see 10 live pitches. It's going to go quite rapid fire over a 90-minute period. And basically, before 9 o'clock this evening, one of those teams will be announced as actually having an all-expenses trip to Silicon Valley to compete in the world final and pitch for $1 million US investment. So to me, that sounds pretty cool. Who's excited by that? Yeah. The journey to get here tonight has been quite staggering, quite amazing. For a lot of people who actually said, oh, I hadn't actually heard about this before. Literally, this event did not exist in Australia 5 weeks ago. So this has all been created, and all of you are here based on the efforts of an amazing group of people, literally from over the last 5 weeks. And I actually want to share a little bit of that story with you because I think it's incredibly important, and it's a very powerful indication of what the hell we can actually do as an Australian startup ecosystem when we put our mind to it. So right behind me there is a group of sort of logos and a whole variety of people are basically in companies that have actually contributed to making this happen. And the reason this actually has taken the turn that it did and why I'm actually saying it's been 5 weeks is because literally 5 weeks ago I had a conversation that said, all right, we can bring Startup World Cup to Australia. Who's interested? It was going to be part of another event. And then for a variety of reasons, it actually didn't actually work out. So I basically said, all right, we've got 5 weeks. Who's keen? So as opposed to being part of this much bigger event in which all the marketing, logistics, and everything else was already taken care of, we just turned around and said, who actually wants to step up and put on a whole separate activity connected to everything else that's going on in Queensland and Australia right now in terms of the startup process, but who's actually keen to actually put some time in? By the way, no one's going to get paid for this. It's completely volunteer. This will be in addition to your normal day job. And it's in 5 weeks' time. And I'm about to spend the next 3 weeks of those 5 weeks in Vietnam. Because basically I now spend half of my year in Australia and half of my year in Vietnam working with the tech startup ecosystem there. And basically what blew me away was literally within 24 hours, I had a response from over 45 key players in the Australian startup ecosystem that all stuck their hand up and said, hell yeah, let's make this happen. So for me, that was absolutely staggering. I then sent out another email and said, all right, because of the time frames we got, we need a meeting tomorrow. So literally 24 hours later, we had 25 people turned up, and we had spent 2.5 hours sitting around the table going, how do we make this happen? And that was literally, as I say, so since then, and part of the process, for those of you who are familiar with the whole Startup World Cup process, since then, there was actually an online application process where companies from all over Australia, and we did actually get applications from right across Australia, which is super impressive. They actually go through that whole process. The final 10, all those are actually assessed online, actually by Phoenix VC and the Startup World Cup, because this competition is run in somewhere between 30 to 40 countries around the world. So they have a standard process that they actually use. So they're basically looking at this and going, let's actually compare what we've got here to what we see elsewhere. And that's a really interesting process. Because with an investor hat on within Australia, there's some companies you must look at and you go, wow, that's never going to make it in this market. But with my experience now in Vietnam and Southeast Asia and Taiwan and those sorts of things, you go, you know what? That actually has a global market. And that's what I think that these guys actually bring to this, is actually a global view to what we're actually doing in Australia. It actually yields some interesting and surprising results, but I think that's actually a really important piece of what we're doing. On that particular slide up there, I've put a circle around a couple of entities. You're going to see some big names up there. So Startup World Cup, you can see my company there. Queensland Chief Entrepreneur, the landing pads, Brisbane Marketing and Advanced Queensland. These are key players that are actually supporting the finalists. The winners actually go to the finals in America, and we're actually going to talk more about that as the night goes on. The little group actually there in the circle, even though there's some big names, like Fishburners and QUTCEA, what actually happened out of this area is the key individuals stuck their hand up. And so you have this amazing group of people, and out of that 25, or 45, so we've got the Slack channel with 45 people in it, basically going, what the hell do you want me to do? We had 25 turn up and said, give me jobs, and then out of that, there's been a core group of about 4 people that have actually driven this thing. And I'm going to talk more about them a bit later on, but the reason I've circled them is because even though they're part of some big organizations, it fundamentally has been down to the power and the passion of a group of individuals who have actually come together, and when they do that, it's actually staggering what's been achieved. So it really is. And what I also like up there is you've actually got support from local, state, and federal government. All 3 have come together. And it's the first time that pretty much all of, I use the word loosely and carefully, competing accelerators, co-working spaces, and everything. So there's Fishburners, River City Labs, iLab, CEA, everyone, they all just said, let's do this as an ecosystem. Let's do this as a total ecosystem play. And we had people like Muru D out of Sydney. We had QP, people actually coming out of Victoria and New South Wales. And so for me, that was super cool, super exciting. And so it's very much about what can we actually achieve. And that for me is like, yeah, there's a lot of players here, but this is the first time the whole freaking ecosystem has actually come together and said, let's make something happen on a completely volunteer basis. This thing is an absolute shoestring budget tonight. And it's interesting because, again, this is part of an extension of Brisbane Curiosities program and the code program and everything else, but when you actually start getting a whole bunch of things happening in close proximity, there's not a lot of sponsorship money left over. So this really is being run on passion and a shoestring. So for who actually enjoyed their welcome drink when they turned up tonight? Woo! All right, so let's hear it for the landing pads. Because without them actually putting some coin in, then we'd actually be all quite thirsty this evening. For a whole bunch of people that have actually turned around and said, let's actually put in for the VIP tickets. A lot of that's actually about actually creating support, not only for them being here, but also actually a lot of that money actually went to covering the cost of this whole event. I think we actually broke even by $100 at about 11 o'clock last night. So that's pretty much how close it came in terms of the costs. So for everyone here, that's completely awesome. Totally respect that. It's brilliant. There's some others that we're actually going to talk a little bit more about later, really supporting the finalists heading over. When we launched this at Code, we announced the finalists, Leanne Kemp, the Queensland Chief Entrepreneur, basically had this nice little phrase, and I'm sure it's been used a million times, but it's like basically tag and brag. Let's be proud. The social media advertising has actually gone out for this stuff. Each of the times we've actually promoted this and the video's gone out, we've been getting somewhere between 6,000 to 10,000 hits. Currently, not only have we got the people in the room here tonight, but there are also watch parties being streamed. So I believe there's a presence in Sydney, Hong Kong, China, and I know, and unfortunately we can't actually see them, but I have on good authority that an amazing crew that I work with in Vietnam are all having their own startup party in Vietnam right now, watching this to actually see what the hell Australia has to offer. So if Startup Vietnam Foundation and the whole crew and the voice group there can hear, hi guys. But what I'm saying is that this is going global. And so it's actually been streamed into the Startup World Cup feeds as well. So use these hashtags and just push it out wide. And one of the reasons I really want to do that, and this is actually for Australia, it's also particularly for Queensland, is it is still amazing how many people do not know that we exist. And when you actually go to Singapore and to Taiwan and everyone else, and they all do turn around and go, oh yeah, Australia. Yeah, I'm going there. Oh, where are you going? Oh, Sydney or Melbourne. It's like, seriously, Brisbane does not even, and Queensland does not even enter the landscape in terms of tech startups on the global scene. And I think that's incredibly sad, and it's something we've got to fix because we have some amazing talent here. Speaking of amazing talent, so we had a whole bunch of applications for this, and seriously, any one of them could have been on the stage tonight. As soon as you actually put up that you're actually going to be standing up here and pitching for the chance to win $1 million investment, it starts sorting out the people who actually think they've got something and those that don't. So the quality of applications we had was really, really high. And I think that's super exciting. What we're going to see tonight is a range of some people who've got incredibly well-established businesses and doing some already Series A and Series B leads, raises, through to others, which is some of the geekiest, smart science nerds you've ever met on the face of the planet. And we just got to figure out the hell how to put a business model around it. So you're going to have the whole range tonight, but basically there's some incredibly impressive people and companies here. I really want to do justice to that. The judges, when I hand over in a moment, Dee will actually give some more information. We have an amazing panel of judges here tonight. So Uli Becker has actually come out and joined us. He's part of the Spin Hype program run by iLab and UQ Ventures. Steve Baxter, I don't think he needs any introduction. Everyone knows him as the Shark. But also for transitional level investments and the original founder of RCL. So Lisa Saganto, impact investor. And I think the social impact world is incredibly important right now. And we're actually seeing more and more of that. And I think Queensland's making a real stake in this position. Brent Watts, also an experienced VC and early stage investor. Ironically, he was actually a VC in San Francisco last year and was present at the Startup World Cup final in San Francisco last year. So he knows what the other end of this whole process looks like. That's super cool. Very shortly, I'm going to introduce Retno Duarte, who is the ASEAN manager for Fendox VC and Startup World Cup. And it was Retno that I met in Vietnam last year when I was a judge for Startup World Cup in TechFest, Da Nang. And that's how we basically started this conversation. And they said, let's bring this to Australia and let's bring it specifically to Queensland. But we're very much with an Australian focus. What I'm excited to say is the finalists tonight, let's be real, there is a bias towards Queensland numbers, and that's not because of preference, that's purely because you run something in Queensland, you get more applicants there. But we also have very serious competitors here from New South Wales and from WA. So the WA dudes, they were sort of going, so you interested? Hell yes. Where are you? We're in Dubai. We'll be there tomorrow. So Adam down here in the front row from BuildSort basically literally flew in from Dubai yesterday where they're doing cool stuff. And so I'm super excited by that, because it actually does give a really representative feel to what's going on. These are the 10 that we're actually going to see pitched tonight. So some of you have already done some research on this, I know, because this has been posted on the socials, other people. Interesting other pieces of fact that come out of this, and I'm not going to get into too much detail. Some have already talked about the impact of actually just being named as a finalist, what it's already having on their business. So one was telling me the other day about metrics for podcasts that they'd actually recorded that had basically had 2 people listen to. 24 hours after the announcement was made, that had 680 downloads of the podcast and a 97% retention rate of going for 43 minutes. So suddenly people have actually said, ooh, we're actually listening. I've also had direct inquiries from VCs around the country are saying, after the event, I'd like an introduction to these particular companies for this particular reason. So there is already interest being generated. For me, the $1 million US prize is just like, that's the carrot or it's the icing on the cake. The people being here, the exposure for your company, the meeting the amazing people in the room right now, meeting the amazing VCs, the finalists is actually going to get in Silicon Valley, I think is just awesome. And if we can continue to build the Australian ecosystem and keep connecting it to America and to Southeast Asia, then I think we have an incredibly bright future ahead of us. So on that note, again, I'd just like to say thank you for everyone turning up. Amazing turnout. And for everyone up on the top who I can't see under the bright lights, awesome. Can you make some noise up the top? All right, so they're awake. So that's enough prattling on from me. Retno. Let me introduce Retno Duarte from, she's flown in from Jakarta, Indonesia. She's the ASEAN manager for Startup World Cup, and we'll actually tell a whole lot more about this background.
So I got the clicker?
That one there. Green button over.
Thank you, Tony. All right, good evening, Brisbane.
This is my first time to Brisbane actually, and this is not the first time Startup World Cup Australia. This is the third time, but I'm so grateful that finally I met Tony last year during the Tech Fest Vietnam. He's a really great guy, hard worker, and to make all this thing happen. And surprisingly, this is the first ever Startup World Cup that we organized in a bar. So I thought my boss today that I sent him a picture that I'm doing the Startup World Cup, and he was like, "Where are you?" "I'm in Brisbane. This is the Startup World Cup, our event." And he was like, no, you are partying in the bar. This is not Startup World Cup. But yeah, this is such a great opportunity. This is my first time to Brisbane, and so I'm really excited to meet a lot of you guys, venture capitalists, and then startup founders, accelerator, and some of the tech startup ecosystem player. So what I'm gonna do here, actually, I'm just gonna give you like a brief explanation what is actually Startup World Cup and what is Finox VC, the organizer behind the Startup World Cup. So yeah, a little bit about myself. My name is Retno Dewati. I'm the Southeast Asia Regional Manager of Finox Venture Capital. So I'm based in Jakarta, but I'm leading the investment across Southeast Asia. I've been with the company since 2015. I joined the company before I graduated from my bachelor degree. And so yeah, after 3.5 years, we've been investing in 40 companies across Southeast Asia. And then I told my boss that I think this is the right time for us to expand to Australia because we have no investment in Australia by far, and hopefully through this Startup World Cup Brisbane, we can have a more portfolio company in Australia. So I would like to deliver my special thanks as well to Imagine X Venture, especially to Tony for making this thing happen, and also to the Brisbane City Council and the Queensland government for sponsoring this competition to give the chance for the Australian tech entrepreneurs to go global and also compete with another tech entrepreneurs across the globe. A little bit about Finox Venture Capital. We are Silicon Valley-based VC firm. We have 8 offices across the world. The San Jose office is the headquarter. We have office in Jakarta as the headquarter for Southeast Asia. And then we have office in Japan, in India, South Korea, in Taiwan, in China, Bangladesh, and also in Middle East. Our fund structure is a bit different with another VC in general. So instead of having single fund, let's say $100 million with multiple LPs, we choose to be a corporate venture capital arm or acting as the CVC for the large corporation. So as of now, we have 25 parallel funds. Each fund range from 20 million up to 200 million. And each one actually has a single LP, which is large corporation. Because the idea is when we invest in a startup, we do not only bring money to the table, but we also would like to bring a strategic partnership between our limited partner and also the startup itself. And we've been investing in 140 plus companies across the globe, and we have more than 80 people managing 8 offices around the world. This is some of our popular investment, Osaro, Affectiva, Vicarious, Genius. If you guys using Spotify, I'm sure all of you are familiar with Genius. It's a Genius, you know, like they partnership with Spotify for their lyrics. So another portfolio from Finox Venture Capital, this is the Southeast Asia region, which I'm managing the investment. So from the 40 companies that I've been investing in Southeast Asia, 90% are based in Indonesia, and then I have some of them in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and also one in Vietnam. We are also one of the early backer of Techinasia, which is the largest Southeast Asia tech media company. And we are also an early backer of Bukalapak. It's a C2C marketplace based in Indonesia, and it's one of a unicorn of Indonesia. All right, moving on about Startup World Cup. So this is the 3rd year of the Startup World Cup. From the last year grand finale, we have more than 1,500 attendees coming from venture capitalists, startup founders, corporations, media, and also some accelerator around the world. Most of them are US-based, of course. And we have 28 startups from around the world last year to compete for the $1 million US. And some of notable speakers, including Reid Hoffman, the founding CEO of LinkedIn. We had also Vinod Khosla, the founder of Khosla Ventures, Adam Shear from Siri, and also Mark Randolph, the co-founder of Netflix. And this is some of the grand finale judges from last year. We have Tim Draper, we have David Cohen, Adi Resi, someone from GE Ventures, Plug and Play, and then Kleiner Perkins. So we have all the top Silicon Valley entrepreneurs and also venture capitalists coming to our event to be one of the judges to select the best startup that will receive $1 million investment from us. This is from last year winner. The winner was Leuco Labs. It's basically a cancer startup based in MIT. They just graduated from the MIT Accelerator program, and then they joined Startup World Cup. They won the competition, and they received $1 million from us. The second winner was Flito from South Korea, and then the third winner was tied between Wallbox of Spain and Strap from Mexico. And for the 2019, if last year we had 28 tech entrepreneurs competing for the $1 million. This year we are doing to the 40 regional events. So the winner of today's, this evening Startup World Cup Australia, you are going to compete with another 39 winners from all over the world. We start the event from Singapore, and then it's followed by Brazil, South Africa. We go to Europe, start from Spain, and then we go to Japan, Canada, Poland, UAE, and then the United States. We went to Russia, we went to US West Coast, Copenhagen in Denmark, and then Nairobi, Kenya, Belfast, and it's happening now, Startup World Cup Australia, and it's also, at the same time, we're also organizing Startup World Cup in Czech Republic, in Europe. And then for the next event, it will be in Malaysia, and then Taiwan, and also I'm gonna do it in Indonesia, as well as Slovenia, Mexico, and yeah, around the world. It's going to be 40 regional events before the grand finale in San Francisco. So yeah, for the Startup World Cup 2019, the grand finale will be next month, actually. It will be in May in San Francisco. So it's going to be 3 days competition. The first day gonna be the semi-final, and then we're going to run some workshop and also networking party, which is a chance for all entrepreneurs to meet venture capitalists and also corporations for you guys to get a chance for investment or any business strategic partnership with corporations. And then the grand finale itself will be on 17th of May. It's going to be a half-day conference. We have top-notch speakers from Silicon Valley, and then we'll be followed by the grand finale from probably 10 or 12 who are going to win during the semi-final the 2 days before. So some of the conference speakers, including the chairman of Kayak, and then from Microsoft Ventures, Google Ventures, IBM, and then Zenefits and PayPal. So we are still confirming a lot of speakers. So a lot of Silicon Valley top tech entrepreneurs and also venture capitalists, they will be coming either as a judges or as one of our speakers. So yeah, and this is another new initiative for us. After 2 years running the Startup World Cup, we have a lot of queries from corporation and angel investor on how they can get the access to the Startup World Cup finalists. And we launched the Startup World Cup Fund this year. It's going to be 50 million fund, and we are inviting all angel investor, venture capitalists, or corporation who are interested to invest in the world's best tech entrepreneurs to join our fund. You can contact me later if you are interested. And yeah, that's all about the Startup World Cup. Good luck for top 10 finalists today that are going to compete. Wishing you all the best, and whoever gonna win this competition, you will be the representative of Australia, and you will represent Australia in the global stage for the $1 million investment from Phenox. Thank you so much, and enjoy our, I think it's a party, not a pitching competition. Thank you.
It's a pretty impressive little lineup, isn't it? When you look at what's actually happening around the world, and then the interest they get from the VCs and the speakers and everything, and that's what really attracted me to it. It's actually there's a hell of a lot of credibility and depth to the lineup, and I think that's super cool. The other thing is, like, there's always a lot of emphasis in Australia about actually heading to Silicon Valley and actually mirroring what's actually going on there and building the marketplace there. What particularly interests me also about Phenox VC and meeting Retno was there's massive opportunities heading into Southeast Asia as well. We have to remember there's 3.5 billion people on our doorstep. It is a very different market, it's a different culture, it's a different way of doing business, but I think the relationships we can actually build through this particular competition, I think will actually help us access multiple markets. And I think for me and for Australia, I think that's actually super exciting. That's a big part of the agenda I want to push over the next few years. So to actually continue with the global perspective and to sort of understand a little bit more about, I guess, what it actually takes to go global, then incredibly excited to be able to announce basically as a judge for this evening, Uli Becker, but also the fact that he's actually going to share some of his wisdom, and I'll let him introduce himself, tell his story, and talk to you for the next 10 minutes about what does it actually take to actually take some of our Australian startups and actually go global. So please, let's make Uli Becker super welcome to Brisbane again.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Tony. How you guys doing? I'll make sure that we'll have more time to listen to the startups than just all the presentations up front. So I'll be quick. Tough to follow a 1 million prize, but I'll give my best, even though as a German, I have this barrier to overcome when the word World Cup is mentioned after Russia last year. 2014 was good, 2018 was not so good. Nevertheless, we're here for a different reason. As Tony was saying, I've got 25 years of sporting goods experience with Adidas and Reebok. When I left the big, global business, I thought, I know it all. I can actually advise, companies to invest and then do good, and realize that I didn't know everything. It took me 5 years on my own and also with institutional parties that I worked with to actually generate enough experience to actually be able to advise and also invest much smarter than I did at the very beginning. So based on that, Tony said, you're the global guy. Can you speak a bit about what your experiences and learnings are when it comes to actually leaving a market and going global? And so I've prepared a couple of slides that are very simple, couple of words, and not many of them, and let's just go through. First one is, and Australia is a good example. Last year I was here, and it seems like you don't know what a beautiful country you live in, because you can't wait to be out of here business-wise quick enough. And the whole notion is you don't go global, you actually go market by market, is my experience. You create a footprint in one marketplace. You use and focus your resources, which are not many, to actually make something work in one market, and then you actually move to the next. You don't leave too early and you don't leave too wide. In some markets or in some areas of the business that may work, but in most of them it doesn't. It really is about conquering market by market. The next important learning is that the bigger the traction is you actually generate in the first market, the more leverage you have in the second one. It's specifically when it comes to financing and trying to get into a seed or A round. The more traction you are able to showcase when it comes to run rate, when it comes to financial metrics, the less you have to give up from your equity if you do so. So I can only recommend, it's much easier for founders to actually create as much business and traction in the marketplace as you can, because when you then start financing and refinancing, it's a not cheap deal, but cheaper deal than otherwise. Third point, the other point important, you can be sometimes so excited about your idea. Always be aware how the business meets actually the market potential. I come obviously from the background of sport. I've seen a lot of startups that are dealing with tennis, for example. This might be still a relevant sport here in Australia, but once you leave it, your business potentially has limits, because it's simply on a death track for almost 15 to 20 years. So always keep in mind one important factor to look at when you actually leave, go into another market, that actually the business potential for it is actually relevant and there, and be aware of that. The other point, other than what is the idea of a business, the team lineup is obviously always critical to look at, and that is not just meant with regard to executives you have in your team, but also with regard to advisors you may pick. It's kind of a trust builder. If it is a investment guy that looks at a proposal like we do today, it is important to see actually how competent is the team and how good are advisors chosen that actually open more doors also in the future. Last point from that angle, you can never be early enough in building your network that actually creates infrastructure for yourself in order to actually use that as initiating your next step. I work, as Tony said, I work with Hive Sports Innovation. As I'm a sport guy, I'm working with a bunch of crazy people that actually create the world's biggest sports ecosystem in terms of innovation. So not just tech, but anything related to sport, to actually provide a network for sports innovators to actually leave the country, go elsewhere, find partners, leagues, franchises, clubs, depending how your business actually relates to that. And so we're actually trying to build a network that sports innovators can actually then utilize in the future, all the way to financing as well. At the end, every successful entry of a new market, as it always has been, a lot to do with executing all the details in a way that success is kind of the consequence of it, as much as also the right timing, which is not often in our hands, but you actually need to look at the moment in time and see if, based from a competitive point of view, marketing development point of view, or market development point of view, if the signs are good, the wind is positive to actually sail into the next market. Having said that, based on last year's visit, I actually, you guys know Afterpay? I think it's one of the more successful Australian ventures that also went abroad. Other than really creating a footprint, then going into the US market. I work with Nick Molnar, one of the two founders and CEO, to help him actually get a foothold in the US. And so I actually sent a note to him. I said, I speak to your countrymen. Anything that you can relay back that I can tell people when it comes to going global or international, what were your learnings? And he sent me a note back saying, that's cool. The most important thing going to America from here was to actually be a US company in the US and not come as an Australian company into the US. That doesn't mean you have to change your passports, but just from a US point of view, you know, not invented here is one of those topics you'll find there quite often. To actually organize a US organization, actually get it written up and then operate as a US company, even with an Australian mother house, has helped him quite a bit. It actually helps you, find money, because US investors much rather invest into US companies than into other companies. At the same time, recruiting of talent was much easier. You can actually give out options of a US company versus an Australian company, which is far more complicated. He said those were the most important moves that I did. It is clear that market dynamics are different. So even if my business model as Afterpay works in Australia and in the US, you need to realize consumers consume differently. Dynamics are differently. And the best is doing that as a US company, finding US talent to actually also approach it and become successful. And he's done a terrific job with the team to actually get also a foothold in the US, and I think it's not going to take long until the next market is following. So that's my big message. So I firmly would repeat, take time to actually conquer the Australian market if you've got a business here, get enough traction, and then move into other markets in the world and generate more success there. Thank you very much for listening.
Awesome. Thank you, Uli. I'm actually going to stop talking. As Uli said, everyone's here actually to watch the pictures and see what's actually going on. One of the things I want to do throughout the evening continuously, and rather than try and do it all up front, is just make some acknowledgements of outstanding contributions that have actually gone into making this happen tonight. And one I was reminded of, and forgive me, it was basically when you talked about the beauty of this country and everything else, and that is actually acknowledging and understanding just how beautiful this country is and what everyone else thinks about it. And it is actually about acknowledging the long-term history of this country and about actually the traditional custodians of this country and acknowledging their leaders, past, present, and emerging, and actually creating the foundation for what we have right now. So it's amazing, again, when you actually do travel through Southeast Asia so much, about the perceptions of what Australia actually is. And it's quite staggering, and this is a truly beautiful country. 2 other acknowledgements I want to make just very quickly. There's a whole bunch of people I'm going to get to later tonight. And I'm actually doing this and spreading out quite deliberately. One is, I was just shown a message just before that basically says, the live feed looks awesome. So we're actually getting feedback from people around, and I just got some, Pete Laurie was just showing me some images of what the people on the live feed are seeing right now, and it looks amazing. So one of the reasons I want to bring that right now is Hugh Whitehouse and his team. Where's Hugh? Are you hiding somewhere? Well, up the top. Like, again, these guys volunteering their technology, their process, their insight, their expertise to actually bring this and make this actually a global experience. And so massive kudos. And it's always beautiful. Whenever you're on a tech-based exercise, you can always guarantee tech falls over and falls to shit. So when someone turns around and goes, this is what the live feed looks like, and it looks beautiful, and we're getting kudos online for that, it's like hats off Hugh and the team, and also all the AV people here and connected to the TriFit about what you're doing. So the other one is a huge acknowledgement to the person I'm about to hand over to. So I stopped talking from here, which most of you would be very pleased to hear. And we're going to hand over to the MC for the evening, and this is a good friend, Dee Deng. And Dee and I met each other many years ago, actually at iLab, when we were doing similar activities there. So there's lots of connections. But Dee is an amazing character. He's got an amazing, successful business of his own right now. So he is a successful entrepreneur, knows his space, supports, and again, like with so many others tonight, is actually volunteering his time to actually be here and actually help make this a super event and actually take it forward. So for me, again, thank you everyone for being here. I'll get to do some more thank yous as we get through the night, but right now I'd like to hand over to Dee, and mate, you're in control for the rest of the evening.
You guys are in trouble now. How's everyone feeling? We're good? Alcohol's kind of kicking in a little bit? You see why they hired me now, right? Without paying me, but. All right, in any case, I just want to give everyone a really quick welcome. I don't want to hold up time. It's not about us. It's not about the judges. It's not about myself for sure. It's all about the startups. I want to give you a bit of an overview of what's going to happen tonight. We're going to watch 10 startups. We're going to watch them pitch. It's going to be 4 minutes, right? Once the 4 minutes are done, this is where you guys come in. If they keep blabbering after 4 minutes, I want to do a rehearsal right now. If they keep moving on after 4 minutes, right, my man over there is going to start slow clapping. Can you start slow clap real quick? Can y'all like slow clap? Yeah. And that's what's going to happen. We're just going to start slow clapping, and then it's going to start going like crazy, right? Great rehearsal and scene. Thank you. That's what's going to happen. We're going to start the slow clap. That way, the rest of the startups get a fair time too, because that's what it's all about. Following that presentation and that pitch, then it opens up to the judges for 3 minutes. This is where it gets fun. Judges usually get to sit there and they just say their thing. We get to slow clap them out too. So when that happens and it hits 3 minutes, my man over there is going to do the same thing. It's going to be 3 minutes. We're going to start slow clapping out. Come on, do it with me now. Come on. It feels good. Come on. It feels really good. Okay, great. Thanks for folding your arms and not taking part. I know who you guys are. I'm going to come after you afterwards. Right, so there we go. 10 startups, 4 minutes, 3 minutes questions. That's how it's gonna work, okay? A bit of housekeeping before we start off. Fire exit is that way over there, nice and green for everyone to see. If that ever needs to get used, those things swing open, get the hell out. Really simple. There will be no intermissions throughout the night, throughout the pitches. So if you gotta go, just go. Don't ask teacher. Teacher's gonna say yes anyway. We good there? Beautiful. Here's the other thing. Startups, especially the stage they're at right now, need exposure, need visibility. This event, in general, we want to be able to boost that exposure, boost that visibility. So hashtags, hashtag Startup World Cup, and hashtag, this one's a bit more complicated, hashtag SWC_Australia 2019. Do it for your country, man. Type all those letters and the numericals and put the images out. All the video, all that stuff, right? If you're too lazy for that, even better, just start Instagram Live and just stream the whole damn thing. All right, we're good there? Okay, great. So here's what's gonna happen right now. I'm done with my talking. I wanna make sure I don't mess up the names. So I'm gonna start introducing the judges to start on and take their seats. Can you please all join me in welcoming, first off, the rank. We got Uli Becker, no stranger to everyone. Uli, please. Former CEO of Reebok. Following closely after, Steve Baxter, please, the shark himself. Tech entrepreneur and investor, well-known name around town. Right after following that, we've got Retno Dawati. Retno, please come back on stage again. Thank you. Southeast Asia Regional Manager at Fenox Venture Capital. Immediately following that, we got Lisa. Lisa Ganto, please come join us. Chairwoman at Impact. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Come on, let's keep it going. Beautiful. We got Brent Watts joining us as well on stage. We got our little Tony there as well. We'll let everyone get sorted out, seated down. Get everyone standing by too. Beautiful. Got your water, got your seats, all warm. Okay, great. All right, here we go. We are gonna kick off nice and strong. My main man, I met him just today. I got you, bro. I met him just today. His name is Mark. He's one of the, he represents Hip Money. I keep wanting to call it Hip Monkey, but it's not. It's Hip Money, all right? And he's gonna kick us off. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Mark.
Hello, my name is Mark Smarsley, and I'm the proud founder and CEO of Hip Money. Hip Money is a financial technology company that uses AI-powered savings technology to help people eliminate debt or save more money, all with a simple swipe on their phone. We exist because 50% of Australians live paycheck to paycheck, and in the States, it's even worse at 70%. Compounding this problem is that 60% of people don't have any savings plan at all, zero. They cite things like no money, no time, or even the idea of I don't have the nowhere to start. So that's where the area that we play in. Because you know why? In banks and financial literacy, they've had financial literacy and budgeting technology around for decades, but it's not working. It's not working because when we talk to customers, we hear things like, I'd love to make better financial decisions, but I don't want to do any work. All right? That's how I like to work out too, by the way. In this area, though, that's the problem, okay? So Hip Money is the solution. What we do is that we've developed an AI-powered savings technology tool to allow you to understand where to save. We can uncover discovered savings, help you eliminate debt or savings without actually feeling a pinch, okay? It's intelligent, easy to use, and personally relevant because of the data that we're mining. So let's see how it works. To start with, you simply connect the app to one of 56 Australian banks that we support. This is your transaction account. From there, we analyze your cash flow. Don't worry, Tony, it's not to judge you. It's just to gently nudge you with a customized savings recommendation of what you could save. Then you set up a loan, or you set up a goal, excuse me, like paying off your home loan early. And we'll show you the value that a little bit of savings today can make both in time saved as well as interest. Finally, and this is the key thing, we make taking action as simple as a swipe right on your phone. Now, I'll tell you a little bit more about the MVP because I know what Steve's saying. Steve's saying, Mark, stop talking and take my money, right? Maybe not yet. Let's talk more about the validation and traction and where we're going in the future because that'll impact the valuation that we get from Steve. I know this. So we started a couple years ago with a Kickstarter campaign, and that did two essential things. It allowed us to test out our customer validation because we uncovered we need a better, simpler way to save, but are people really going to vote with their wallets? We ended up being a top 50 US app, as well as raising the amount of money of $30,000 and getting our first 1,100 pilot customers. From there, the swipe to save technology and easy algorithm was something the press deemed Tinder for your dollars. But it really worked in that the average customer was saving $1,900 and putting that toward debt at 6.5%. The most important thing, though, we used that traction to actually sign a deal with Bank of Queensland last year. Now, this was pivotal because our team understands banking, both profitability and customer acquisition. We didn't want to be a direct-to-consumer savings app because there's just no money in that. But what we know is that banks need to engage and educate and help their customers save more. And that's our background, including our advisors, people like Mary Lou Dowd, who was head of customer mobile engagement at Citibank and TIAA-CREF. We knew that finding a partner like BOQ was pivotal. Great, lost the slides. Finding a partner like BOQ was pivotal to our further growth because it allowed us to develop an AI savings engine that can integrate with a banking platform. Those platforms have potential thousands of customers. And if you can integrate once, we can integrate an engine that has a savings protocol and a flow of funds that can expand over a course of 3,000 to 4,000 banks. So what we're providing is a tool that can expand across platforms. Other advantages we have is when we're on a platform, our cost of actual data goes to virtually zero. We just have our cloud computing costs. Also, the other thing that we have here is massive amounts of data from the banks themselves. So that gives us a competitive advantage. The other apps out there that are struggling in a direct-to-consumer market may have 10,000 or 20,000 customers. We're able to leverage 500,000 just with one bank. And also, we have decades of success selling into multiple markets, including the United States, which is my background, if you couldn't tell from my accent, where I've sold 2 different software companies into the United States banking system to the 12,000 banks and credit unions that are existing there. That's our primary market. Thank you very much.
Talk about
Love to
timing.
take some questions.
Good timing, my man. All right, let's put 3 minutes on the clock. We're going to open it up to the judges. Stay where you're at. Just stay in the light. Yeah, no problem. Let's open it up to the judges and let's see what they have to say. Judges, over to you.
How do you generate revenue?
I'm sorry?
How do you generate revenue?
Revenue? So with the banking industry, it's very common for us to charge a SaaS model for every user that uses the actual application within the core banking system or their mobile app. We'll charge anywhere from 30 cents all the way down to 15 based on the number of customers that they'll have on there. And that's per month. So with some minimums, about 5,000 for an average size smaller bank. Plus, we also usually charge an upfront fee because we'll customize usually the general savings recommendations based on the market and the bank and what they want to see happen.
What about privacy issues?
Lisa, we actually don't get any public information from the bank. So for us, I don't care if it's Tony or Lisa or Retno or whom. So we're just getting actually anonymous data. So what we do know, a little bit of demographic data, like date of birth and what they're saving for. But the transaction data is really smart because I can see what you make. I can see how you spend your money, the categories. So I don't need to know who you are or your TFN or any of that stuff. So it comes to us anonymously, and then we just supply the data back to the bank on this is what you should present to the user for the savings recommendation. And then they act on that, and then we just help flow the funds to the appropriate debt or goal. So again, I don't care who you are. I just care that you're successful saving your money.
Mark, well done on your move to Australia. Well done on your pitch. Traction-wise, mate, well done on that little faux pas. Well, that was really well recovered. Traction-wise, what can you talk about? How many customers and/or revenue, or what's your current status in the market?
So we came here with the 2017 Advanced Queensland grants. We had 100,000 in 2017. I can't say specifics because of
customers. No, not funding. Customers.
So we have mid-six-figure revenue right now. Okay, mid-six-figure revenue right now. I can't disclose the particulars, and then next year we'll double that.
So that's $500,000 then?
$500,000, yeah. Right
revenue
now.
is that net revenue or gross revenue?
That's gross.
It's gross.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And so what margin do you take off that?
Right now, most of it's salary right now because we're building out the algorithm and stuff.
Okay,
But there's only two of us.
If that's gross, is that gross profit or is that gross revenue?
That's gross revenue entirely.
Okay, so what is your net revenue?
It's virtually zero. We're in second year.
No, not net. Okay.
Yeah.
Not net profit. After your above-the-line expenses, marketing expenses, commissions.
No, see, right now there's zero cost of goods. It's really just integrating with a bank. So this is the beautiful thing about the revenue is that when we're integrating with the bank, it's like to deploy on their platform. So there's no cost. We are testing with a direct-to-consumer model right now here in Australia, which the cost of goods is 70 cents on the dollar. It's ridiculous. That's why there's no money in it. But with the banks, everything flows to us for free. It's just the cloud hosting, which is virtually a couple $100 right now for 500 users, which is the pilot. Sorry, that took me so long to answer.
That may still be right, though. Mark, great presentation.
Thanks.
Based on that, 3 years from now, where are you with regard to your financial planning? I mean, how big can this be?
The big opportunity we have is with the very first bank is to implement with a core banking system that has 4,000 customers. And they have a marketplace strategy. So most banks are moving to banking as a service. You're all seeing it move to the marketplace. We would be the very first savings-focused, AI kind of engine on that marketplace. So for us, that's the biggest opportunity right there is to do that. And then back in the States, I'm an advisor with Fiserv. I've been through the FIS, the Accelerator program. So those are their core banking systems back in the States. We would approach to deploy once across hundreds of banks at a time. So that's really the strategy there. Thank you very much. Thanks, Nate. See you back. Thanks.
Right on the money with the time and everything. Do me a favor, right? When someone's getting grilled up here, just watch the forehead and the top of the lip. It starts getting a bit precipitous, especially when the questions come hard and fast. All right, let's keep the thing moving. So next up, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for my man, Aaron from BuildSort.
Check. Good evening, everyone. I am Aaron DeCruz, co-founder at BuildSort. The construction industry is massive. It's a $200 billion a year industry in Australia. It was $10 trillion a year in 2017 and is expected to double next year. But this massive industry is broken. Profit margins are so slim that they leave no room for error. An expensive error can cost you your business. Project data management is also hard. If you use the wrong drawing, for instance, is one of those expensive errors. Contract management is also extremely stressful. It keeps countless business owners up at night. And finally, the additional administration on security or payments administration or legislation can cost 1% to 2% on project costs. These are big global issues, and no one has been able to solve them until now. BuildSort is a smart legal contract and collaboration platform that uses distributed ledger technology to tackle these issues. Using BuildSort, we can get operational efficiencies and save project costs by 20 to 30%. Our project data management is seamless and effortless. You can get organized and versioned organized document management. Our smart legal contracts are also immutable, which is important in a litigious construction industry. And finally, because of these contracts, we can also get paid on time. Now, this is how it works. This is a demo of our alpha product. We take the elements in a 3D model, and we put it into a smart contract as a scope. We can take the clauses and automate them. Now, as you can see, there's no code. It's a drag and drop interface. It's easy to use for anyone, and you can see where you are in the process, and you can see the next step. Now, we need data to power this. We take BIM, or digital twins of a project. We take the schedules, finance, live capture, and we use this to power not only the project, but the contracts as well. When we show this to prospects, their jaws drop. Now, contracts also makes BuildSort viral. When you invite a contractor onto our party onto BuildSort, they're also introduced to the platform where they can enjoy our other benefits. Now, our main focus for our main target market is right in the center of influence, the developer or client, the architect, and the builder. From there, BuildSort will grow naturally through their network of contractors. We also aim to work with government. It's a price per user per month, but perhaps our biggest revenue stream will be the 0.5% of project costs we'll make from our data exchange and outgoing transactions. We can also earn interest on retention money. We have partnerships with Best Bar and FM Global, a multinational insurance firm in construction. Our industry panel has also influenced the design of BuildSort. It's designed for them. Now, we're an early-stage startup. We've been self-funded for 14 months, and we're now in alpha. We're seeking a $2 million investment, which will bring the product to market in 6 months, and it'll keep us going for another 12 runway until we break even. Our product spend is given over there. This is our fantastic team with years of industry experience. These are advisors. Danielle was CEO, and Greg. Thank you very much. Now open for questions.
Nice. Just powering through the clapping. Just powering through the clapping. Good one. All right, let's set 3 minutes on the clock. Good luck to you, my friend. It's going to be 3 minutes with the judges.
Aaron, I'll kick off. It seems to me like one of the problems you're seeking to solve is connecting some of the parties together, obviously some operational efficiencies.
Yes.
How do you see yourself differentiating from others in the market, like Building Connected that Autodesk recently acquired?
Well, we try to focus on the biggest problem in construction. If you ask anyone in construction, the biggest hurdle they face is contracts. Now, we automate that, and we link it up with all the other data, project management and BIM and so on, to automate those things. We focus on contracts, but from an everyday user perspective, they'll be interacting with every bit, and there's a lot for people to enjoy from the product.
Aaron, did you ask them what the problem with contracts are? Is it enforcement of the contract? Is it actually them doing the job as per the contract terms, or is it all the fluffy paperwork that you seem to do before the contract's signed?
Okay, so just for background, I'm in marketing, but I can give you from my knowledge.
What have your customers been telling you? Do you have customers?
So we are in alpha stage. So we don't have customers yet, but we are talking to some of the best, and they give us some of their feedback. Now, with contracts, as you asked before, now when the contract is signed, they put it in a drawer and they forget about it. It's only later when a problem happens that they bring it out and they have to figure out what's wrong. Now, say if someone takes a copy, changes it, there's no way for them to prove whose is right or wrong.
Yeah, you go to court. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's not the case. Both have a signed contract. So most of the breakdown happens when you actually deliver something that's not to specification, i.e. the contract. Will this stop that from happening?
Well, yes, because the contracts will be immutable and some.
So a shitty builder will be a better builder because it has an electronic contract, not a paper contract.
Yep, that's correct.
That's the last question I've got.
Anyone else? We have 1 minute.
You mentioned blockchain. How is that being used here?
Okay, so we use a private DLT, a distributed ledger, because we need the immutability in contracts, and also it helps with processing of payments and the autonomy behind it, and also zero-knowledge proofs. It's a private DLT, which means that it's not public for everyone, but it's secure between you and I, because we don't want everyone else to know what's our contract. We do have a notary system. It'll also keep that in line. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, brother. Let's go over to the next dude. This grilling thing is happening. I like the almost 360-degree grilling. They don't know which side it's coming from. I'm hoping it's exciting for you guys. So listen, I want to introduce the next guy. His name's Isaac, and he is going to pitch Tide to you. So little known fact, he got in from LA like today, right? So please put like a whole bunch of a round of applauses, I don't know if that's a thing, together, just so we can give a bit of energy and a bit like a pump up, all right? Isaac, everyone.
Good evening, guys. My name is Isaac Elnikave. I'm one of the co-founders of the Tide Foundation. And tonight I'm going to be talking to you about controlling, protecting, and monetizing your personal data. Demand for personal data has never been higher, and that demand is growing exponentially. Businesses for years have been abusing our personal data, and the result of that is privacy legislation, which is designed to protect your personal data. Yet the cost of compliance with privacy legislation is incredibly high, over $16 million a year for a Fortune 500 company. But there's a second, more sinister issue with this legislation. It is constricting the amount and type of data that is available in the secondary marketplace. And the result of insatiable demand and fixed or constrained supply is yielding the biggest asset class of your lifetime: your personal data. And like anything valuable, people want to steal it, which is why we're seeing more and more data breaches, like Equifax or Marriott or Cathay Pacific. Databases with your personally sensitive and personally identifiable data have been trophy assets of businesses, and today are a liability and bottomless cost center. Tide solves this by making privacy profitable for businesses, consumers, and marketers. We've got you, a consumer, your health insurance company, but it can actually be any business that has personally identifiable information on you: your bank, your telco, your gym, your airline, and a marketer. When you engage with a business that has adopted the Tide open source, free-to-use protocol, your personal data is uniquely encrypted, and you are the only one with the key to decrypt it. Which means for the health insurance company, the liability of holding your personally identifiable information is now gone. It is a mathematical impossibility for all of your data to be stolen. And compliance with privacy legislation is not only future-proofed, but it is also made significantly more cost-efficient and a whole hell of a lot easier to deploy. And on the right, We've got a marketing company that wants to target consumers who have been treated for high cholesterol. Through the Tide network, they can offer to engage with those consumers. The Tide network will facilitate that offer to you as a consumer and acquire your consent or rejection to be a part of that audience, decrypt your data, and deliver it back to the media company if you agree, and in that process, make sure that the revenue is shared between you, it's your data, the vendor, and a small portion to Tide. We deploy a business-to-business-to-consumer model, solving a $1 trillion mission-critical issue for businesses today through our unique patented process. We channel through system integrators, nurture open source communities, and onboard a business's entire consumer database at a time, delivering step change growth. For investors, we offer you a perpetual revenue share of the global personal data economy delivered over our trustless technology with absolute verifiable authenticity. Thank you.
Isaac, ladies and gentlemen, Isaac. All right, X marks the spot. We've got 3 minutes on the clock. I'm actually personally very interested in this one because if you knew what I do, that's right. Yeah, that's right on top of me. So, judges, 3 minutes. Feed them to the wolves.
Okay. Am I on? Yeah. It's, as you say, it's an interesting area, and the whole space of data and privacy is just absolutely massive. I'm just wondering about how you're actually going about user adoption, because what you're doing here is actually quite challenging for the path that a lot of enterprises are actually going down. And are you actually trying to create a new trend, or are you bucking the trend to say, I can see some challenges going to market?
That's a great question. In terms of adoption, we like to look at it from two sides. The demand side, the marketers, and the supply side, the vendors. The demand side is quite simple. It's a question of, do you want to engage with businesses and consumers based on data that's siloed today? From the vendor side, it's been a question of commercials. What is the cost for me as a business to ensure that I'm compliant with privacy legislation? And Tide is an open source, free-to-use protocol. You can pick it up, deploy it, and unless there's actually transactions in the space, there's no cost.
Do you actually have users and/or customers, whatever you define that? What's your actual traction, not your...
I'm sorry?
What's your actual traction, not your potential traction?
Okay, so the way that we measure traction today is we have no revenue today and none expected for the next 2 years, and that's by design. The way that we're approaching the market is from a train-the-trainer model. It's about system integrators. And so our traction
is... Okay, so what traction do you have? Okay, so you're not planning any money as traction, so what other traction do you have?
We've got businesses that want to adopt the Tide protocol.
What? How many do you actually have?
We have about 200 million records about to come onto the network. We have system integrators like of PwC, Ernst & Young, KPMG, both here and in Europe and in the US.
It's one of the most complicated things I've actually ever viewed on a PowerPoint. Anyone else ask a question, please, if you want to jump in here. I don't understand how you can arbitrage between having a personally encrypted piece of information that you can offer to other people. You act as an intermediary, because by definition, you can't decrypt it and understand what the information is.
Correct.
So I'm trying to understand what you're selling here, because there was a bunch of great words, but I don't actually see how it's going to work.
Okay, so the fundamental piece is a key management system. So what happens is, when you engage with a business, your personal data is encrypted. You're the only one that has that key. Now, when we do that, we allow the business itself...
So how does a cholesterol company work out that I'm a cholesterol data holder then? If I'm the only person with a key, I'm the only person who can read it if I choose to.
Correct.
So how does anyone know that they can contact me and somehow get my data? Because no one knows what data I've got, because it's this undecipherable blob.
Okay, so what's running behind this is we're working off of a distributed ledger technology that creates a unique set of public and private wallets. Those public and private wallets are connected to your key, which allows us to be able to run in parallel with...
How does a cholesterol company know that I have cholesterol data they can get to?
I'm sorry?
How does the cholesterol company, in your example, know that I have cholesterol data I may want to sell to you?
The cholesterol, the seeker, the marketer in this page, engages with the Tide protocol in the same way that today they look to display banner ads. They say, I want to identify these users. The Tide network comes back to them and says, great, those are users 1 to 100,001. And they are part of the vendors or the consumers of this health insurance company. Thank you.
Isaac, ladies and gentlemen, all right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Off you go, How good was that? Man, a whole bunch of grilling happening. I don't know if you guys are tweeting your questions, but I got a whole bunch of questions about that one too. All right, let's keep this thing moving. We're about to hit the midway point. Just want to remind everyone, if you need to go to the bathroom, don't ask teacher, just go to the bathroom, grab a drink, do what you got to do. The pages are just going to keep going. So as much as possible, stay in the room and definitely stick around for the questions. And a hot tip for the judges too. It sounds to me like you guys just got to get your voice in, grab a mic and start asking questions because people aren't holding back, everyone. All right. So I would love to introduce our next pitch to you. His name is Joe for My Med Kit. My Asian brother, he's not really my brother. My Asian brother, Joe.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Joe from Pocket Health. Thanks for all coming out tonight just to see me pitch. Appreciate that. Our flagship product, My Med Kit, basically very easy to understand, medicine to your door on demand. It's a mass consumer product. Everyone would need it sometime during your life. Let's face it, if you're sick, you don't want to leave the house. So basically, we'll bring the medicine to your door, offer you that convenience. The other problem we're trying to solve is there's currently a lot of healthcare issues, bad healthcare practices around the world, such as overprescribing, and that's caused by generally conflict of interest. So we're trying to come up with an integrated solution to streamline the process from prescribing and dispensing and make sure that doesn't happen. Some screenshots, very easy to use. Our traction to date, our timeline to date, we actually only launched in January this year. Started development last year, so we've been around for a couple months, getting some good early traction and early adopters. Early adopters currently are female and working class, so these people are really time poor, and they also are great because they're a gatekeeper to their parents' health as well. We've done so far 500 orders in the 2 months we've launched. Probably the key success to date is the key partnership that we secured. It's with unfortunately, can't share the details due to confidentiality, but we're aiming to scale it Australia-wide by June, and we've also got about over 100 doctors and specialists on board. So basically, that's a market that you see in Australian. It's constantly growing. The revenue model, it's quite simple. We take a fixed fee per prescription plus the delivery fee, and you get the gross revenue minus the cost of fulfillment. That's the gross profit. I'll explain a bit more on how we get to those numbers in the next slide. So our go-to-market strategy is basically B2B2C. It's much more effective than just B2C alone and saves a lot of money. So currently, those numbers that you see up there is basically the numbers that from existing data by the healthcare partnership are taking into account churn and conversion rates. So the two numbers up the top basically adds up to the 900,000 orders. Happy to go through that more in detail in the FAQ. So competitive advantages, pharmacist's own, key partnership, sorted. Vertical integration is something I want to mention. We're basically having an in-app hospital feature, so the user can select the specialist they want to see, the doctor they want to see, get their prescription, consultation, dispensed, delivered, all in one streamlined platform. We also have an aged care solution as well. Some numbers, we can talk about it later if anyone's interested. B2B2C, that's a partnership, can go through that. One thing I'll say about people that used us so far, they really like us because we're noticing a very high retention rate. The team, so 3 co-founders, very handsome young men, mixed skill sets. We do our development in-house. Pocket Apps is our app development company, which is funding this at the moment. As you can see, we love the word Pocket Apps, Pocket Health, so if you've got some pocket money, feel free to throw it our way. Before I end, I just want to share a story. My medkit basically came about from one of our Indian developers got killed by a doctor prescribing 13 medications when only 2 was needed. And I just can't stand bad health practice in this world. It shouldn't happen in this day and age. We don't just deliver medicine. We believe streamlining prescribing and dispensing really take away the financial gain from the doctors and those corruption. This is what we want to do. This was our goal, and we won't stop until we get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Ladies and gentlemen, get it up for Joe, please. All right, we've got 3 minutes on the clock. We're going to set that over there. Judges, is off to you. Let's pounce on. Let's make it happen.
Can you legally do this? There's so much regulation around the pharmacy space in Australia with respect to position, with respect to ownership.
Sure.
So are you, yes or no is great. Are you covered off with, are you legal and fully regulatory compliant?
Yes, I'm a pharmacist. I've been in the industry for quite a while. I've approached the Guild, Queensland Health.
Good, contact my team.
Yes.
If I can ask, so good presentation, thanks.
No worries.
I'm not sure if I understood it all, but in Germany, the pharmacy itself sends it to me if I want it.
Yes.
Good pharmacies do it. In the US, the pharmacy ships it because they're connected to the doctor.
Sure.
Why are you more efficient?
So we deliver on demand in 2 hours. So online pharmacies have never worked for the simple reason that people can't wait for their medication. So we really bring it to you on your door when you've got a fever, when you need an antibiotic, we're right there. And we also, the other point of difference is the app hospital feature. You can see specialist doctors get the prescribed, delivered all in one. I should mention that corruption is happening in a lot of Southeast Asian countries. Basically, the prescribing and the dispensing is currently not separated, so it's a really big problem that we want to address.
So you provide the online prescription, but how do you define which medicine that's actually suitable for the patient? Do you also have the telemedicine, like the
so that's our in-app hospital feature, which is not released yet. We're currently in the works. That's why we haven't put any of that in the numbers. Okay. But people, if you have a script, you can just upload it to the platform and get it delivered.
And you're going to just deliver the medicine to their house?
The participating pharmacy just accepts the order, and then we deliver it out through our logistics solutions.
So, Joe, we have a pretty archaic system at the moment with, I understand the hospital system you're talking about, and that's great.
Sure.
But a lot of our prescription comes from the GP.
That's correct.
And so how do we change that system for this to work?
Sure. So basically there's two things. B2B2C channel is included the integration with prescribing softwares, which is what we're actively working with. The other thing is any doctor, currently there's a lot of online doctors out there, but they're all centralized. So when doctors jump on here, there'll be a freelancer, there'll be the consumers can write reviews, and they can just prescribe it that way. So we're not going to capture like all the GPs and scripts that way. So, but that's what we're working towards, provide that seamless transaction.
I think just very quickly, in the intro, I talked about the difference in perception between, I guess, products that will work in Australia versus stuff that will work overseas.
Sure.
It's, as has already been said, there's a number of legislative issues and everything else, basically, in Australia.
Yes.
How quickly are you wanting to actually export this? Because I can see this being huge in Asia and,
yes,
and in Europe.
So our product can be easily adapted in terms of product. Obviously, each country will have to explore the regulations, which is part of the legal fees that we're raising. In terms of launch, we actually just need a couple of pharmacies, and then just and we can launch as long as we've got a logistic partner, and then we can recruit the GPs and the specialists that way.
Beautiful. Congratulations, my man. Well handled. Thank you so much. You can hand it over to the next person. That was Joe, ladies and gentlemen, my Asian brother. Again, not really my brother. All right, so I'd love to. I can't wait to introduce this next guy. Like. I first met him today, and the first words out of his mouth was, hip hop, yo. That's what I got, right? So I think that says a lot already. He's also been known as the Richard Branson on steroids. I'll let that speak for itself. Won't spoil the introduction. My man, Royce, here we go.
Hello, everybody. My name is Royce, and I'm the founder and CEO of Monarch Global. So Monarch Global is a global distribution system for private aircraft charter, so jets and helicopters. I'll just give you a little bit of history on GDS systems. One, they are very archaic. But two, they also revolutionized the commercial airline industry as we see it today. It was the only system that could produce to third parties instant availability and instant pricing for seats on an aircraft, which you can therefore book through your travel agent or through Expedia or Webjet. So I guess the hurdle for Monarch was to build a GDS system for a non-scheduled service. which we succeeded in last year. So in October, we launched our MVP, which was a live available and live priced GDS for private aircraft charter. And within 3 months, we actually saw $4.3 million go through our system. And for a startup, that's extremely exciting. Monarch's margin is anywhere between 8 and 12%, the average being about 9. We were able to do this by targeting the special events here in Australia. So we have Grand Final Weekend, where we were able to produce jets at a lower cost than economy seat pricing on the day. Again, during Melbourne Cup, we saw $1.3 million go through our system in just one day, which was a true test of our tech to see if it could handle that kind of volume, and it did. So we were really, really happy. We were also able to showcase to new customers the experience between traditional aircraft travel and private aircraft travel. And yes, flying private makes you better looking. That's me in a jet yesterday. So phase 2 for Monarch is to launch a customer portal so that you guys now have access to instant available and instant price charter. So being able to compare with traditional commercial airlines, you'll actually see that it's not as expensive as you once thought. And that's the key with Monarch. This market size for us is $725 billion globally, but the US and Europe do hold 77% of our assets. So based on that, we are expanding into the US in August. We just finalized a bridge round with BA, and we will be heading out to the States, where we will continue to do our raising, our Series A, probably by the end of this year. So $1 million will definitely go a long way there. The end goal for Monarch is obviously to be displayed as a flight option on the current MediSearch sites, Expedia, Webjet, Finder.com. We want you to go on these sites and see Qantas, see Virgin, and then see private, and realize that private's actually quite comparable. We did a test last year. We were $250 less than Qantas and $150 more expensive than Virgin. So we actually sat in the middle for a private jet. That's pretty impressive. Another way that our tech can be used for the better good, as a first world problem, we can give insurance companies and governments access to instant medevac equipment, such as jets and helicopters. So again, time means lives. If we can do this instantaneously rather than taking the traditional 24 to 48 hours to book, then we can actually help save lives there. Competitor analysis. So we do have plenty of indirect competitors in the market. There are a lot of brokerage firms. There's a lot of jet cars out there. The difference is that we will be the first to market with live availability and live pricing on a global scale. In 2018, we forecasted our revenue to be about $5 million. Again, we hit 4.3. This year, we forecasted to do $15 million. We already have pre-sales for over $6 million for the special events that I showed you earlier. People got wind of it and started to book early. Very smart, by the way. But yes, our revenue is growing every single year. By 2023, we anticipate doing $150 million in total charter revenue. And again, Monarch's margin is between that 8 and 12% brokerage margin. And this is the team that's definitely going to get you there. 120 years of aviation experience in aviation tech. We're definitely the ones to bring it to you. Fly without limits.
Hey, Royce. So I kind of wish that your revenue goals weren't that aggressive so that I can still get some savings on this. And I almost want to sneak a question in there. Can I rent one of your jets for my IG stories?
Of course.
There we go. That's the top question on everyone's mind right now. All right, let's put 3 minutes on the clock. And let's open it up to the judges. Jump in, guys. No one's holding any bars. Don't be polite. Just jump on in and ask a question. 3 minutes.
I'm going to kick off. As demand expands, as you get more charter operators on, how do you go about controlling safety and quality standards?
So we, before onboarding an operator, make sure that all the regulatory paperwork's in place. AOCs are the most important. There are plenty of operators out there without air operating certificates. Again, these are not registered charter operators. They're just, maybe housing the aircraft for somebody who owns it or an owner of an aircraft. So an owner of an aircraft will automatically think that they can sell their aircraft, and that's not the case. You have to have the right insurances. You have to have the right AOC. Once that is done, you are government regulated, and we can have you on board our system, which is all stored on our system as well.
You said going into the US this year, you're going to work with or collaborate with BA. Is that British Airways or what?
Oh no, sorry. We raised a bridge round with BA Brisbane Angels. Sorry, it's just a round that we got so that we can go to the US. We have 174 operators already with paid deposits for subscriptions in the US, which we got last September. So this money's going to get us there on board our first 174 in the US, and then keep going from there. And we'll do probably a Series A at the end of the year.
Just a very basic question, but what you are offering a whole plane. It's not one seat, is it? So it's 10 at a time or 20?
So there are regulations behind that. So yes, we offer the entire charter. Our system is built for the entire charter and the entire aircraft being chartered. But in saying that, if you chartered an aircraft and you were happy to let go of 4 of the seats so you can bring the rest of the judges with you, within our network, we can actually advertise that. We can't advertise it externally, but we can actually advertise within our network, which gives them the opportunity to buy a per seat, saving you money. But everybody pays almost a seat price, which is why we can say that we beat economy with the grand final weekend, because Qantas and Virgin were surging to $1,500 a seat. Per seat on the jet was $1,350, so they actually saved $150, but they got to fly in a private jet. So that's how we determine the difference. And when we showcase on Expedia, we'll showcase the per seat price based on the amount of people that you entered into that system. So you're seeing a per seat price which will lower the expense in your head. So if I just put up 20 grand, you're gonna be like, oh my God, 20 grand. But if I put a $2,000 round trip per person, it's business class pricing. You could probably justify that.
You have some very big brand names out there. So what's your defensibility? What's to stop someone else coming in and creating a comparative system with a bigger budget?
Yeah, the defensibility, we charge a subscription with our operators currently. Our system is also very sticky, as my CTO likes to put it. The onboarding process does take time. Once the operator's on board into our system and we're bringing them traction, it's going to be very hard for them to want to leave us with a new competitor in the marketplace. But in saying that, should they want to leave us for any reason, we can actually say, as a loyal customer, we're happy to waive the subscription fee, because again, most of our money comes from the broker commission. So we almost instituted a subscription fee to be able to take it away.
Questions.
Oh, man.
For the first time, we ran out of questions before the timer went out. Congratulations, judges. My man. Good job, bro. All right, let's keep this thing moving. I love how the music just comes up for 2 seconds and then comes back down again. It makes me feel really important. I actually asked for that. No, I didn't. Hey, hi, everyone upstairs. Do you guys know there are people upstairs? It's so crazy. It's so dark up there. I don't even know you guys exist. Holler. Give us a holler. Let us know you exist. Right? So in this point right now, I would love to remind everyone what the hashtags are. It is, again, SWC_Australia 2019, as well as hashtag Startup World Cup. I'm not seeing enough phones come up. You need to bring up your phones, take that photo, type in all them letters, and then do whatever it might be out. LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, if you guys are on that, don't know. The more channels, the better, all right? If you guys are on one of those Hootsuite things, even better, one button, hit all of them, okay? All right, let's bring the next person up on stage. His name is Kobus, and he is pitching Gizmo 3D. My man.
Thank you. The $1.5 billion clear aligner market is set to grow 16% by 2023. Invisalign, on their own, sold 2 million arches in 2017 alone. Orthodontists use 3D printers to print large volumes of dental arches. The problem is they can't keep up with demand. Many of the printers they use can only print up to 300 arches a month at a cost of $4 an arch. And their options are limited. The fast machines are very expensive, and the cheap machines are slow. So what they do is buy a bunch of slow, cheap machines, and then maintenance becomes a nightmare. So a small lab might have up to 3 machines, and that would cost them maybe $10,000 or more. A larger lab might have to have 23 machines, and that would cost them over $80,000. We have the solution to this. We've been working with orthodontists to develop printers for orthodontists, introducing the Gizmo Ortho Practice and the Gizmo Ortho Lab. Our low maintenance machines can replace any number of printers currently being used at labs, and also reduce the cost per print from $4 to 90 cents. There are many competitors in this market, but our competitive advantage is price and speed. The Gizmo Ortho Practice is priced at $8,000, and it can print up to 3,000 arches a month. The Gizmo Ortho Lab is priced at $25,000, and it can print 10,000 arches a month. This is 33 times faster than some of our competitors.
and that makes the labs extremely happy. The 3D printing market is worth $34 billion, and we've already sold our Generation 1 machines to many industries in this market. Since we launched on Indiegogo in 2016, we've generated over $1 million in revenue and sold more than 80 printers of our Generation 1 machines. We've now decided to focus on the orthodontic market in the USA. There are 13,500 orthodontists in the USA, and on average, they spend $8,000 a year on 3D printers. This gives us a market value of $108 million in the USA alone in this market. We plan on selling 40 printers to them per month, and that will give us a revenue of $405,000 monthly. Our revenue streams include direct sales, support, installation, training, consumables, leasing, and channel sales. We already have MOUs for multiple Gizmo Ortho lab machines valued at $150,000. The orthodontists are extremely excited to get hold of our machines. With investment, we can reduce the wait time for our machines. We can extend our team locally and globally. We can increase advertising, go on road shows, go to events, and so much more. Our team consists of Michelle and myself and our 3 employees. Michelle has over 16 years experience in marketing, and she's the ambassador for women in 3D printing in Queensland, Australia. I have over 30 years software development experience and 6 years hardware development experience. Thank you very much.
Very nice, very nice. I'm going to try a new thing, and I'm going to stand here instead of walk over there and come back exactly right here. So let's put 3 minutes on the clock, and let the judges have at it. Once again, don't be shy, judges. Jump on in, grab a mic, fire a question off.
What problem are you actually solving there, sorry, Cobus?
Speed. So, as I've said before, they normally have 3D printers that can only print about 300
So you're
arches.
faster and or cheaper or faster? What's the...
Both. We're faster and cheaper, and the machines themselves are also cheaper and low maintenance. So, for instance, some of the machines might actually cost them $16,000 over a period of 3 years because of maintenance, where our machines don't have that kind of maintenance. Everything is stainless steel, everything is aluminium. We don't have those kind of problems.
You had a chart of not just orthodontists, but you had like 6 or 7 or 8 sort of different categories in the bar chart. And so you sold more than orthodontists, is that right? Or?
Correct. So we've decided on the orthodontic industry. We've sold to jewelry, orthodontists, hobbyists, and those kind of things. In the beginning, when we sold on Indiegogo, our target market was hobbyists, and we've seen our best target market would be now orthodontics, because we've actually upgraded the machines much more to industrial grade machines, and that pushed us out of the hobby market. So the hobbyists weren't that much interested in us anymore, and we actually met a lot of orthodontists that used our machines, the first generation machines, and they're so excited. Like I said, they've even signed MOUs. They're very excited. I get these guys on Facebook Messenger every day. Give me my machine. So they're extremely excited to get their machines.
All right, Cobus, so you're actually saying they're 33 times faster, they're cheaper, they're less maintenance.
Yes.
Why? What's different? What makes your 3D printer different than any other one on the market? Why is it so much better?
So we use the top-down technology that was actually developed by 3D Systems about 20 years ago. But we added some twists to that. We use projectors rather than lasers, rather than FDM, where they have a nozzle moving around. So that increases our speed a lot. We use light. So the short answer is we use light and resin to print with, rather than the other printing methods that are out in the market at the moment. But it's a very, very long answer.
Can I ask, you said since 2016 you made over $1 million revenue.
Yes.
And at the same time, orthodontists are going crazy about getting your machines.
Yes.
Should that not mean you should have made quicker progress in terms of revenue?
I should have, correct.
What's holding you back?
We self-funded, so the money we get in, we use for R&D. The money we get in, we use to survive. And then we selling the Generation 1 machines to try and pay for the Generation 2 machines, being these orthodontic machines.
So if you got $1 million now, what would that lead to in terms of revenue then?
if we got 1 million now, we would be able to push the 40 printers to America immediately. And when we are in that market, we'll be able to grow to bigger markets. We already have people interested in Europe. We already have people interested in Mexico. So the MOUs that I have are actually from USA, Europe, Mexico, and even Australia. So for this, we're actually just pushing the US market because our main orthodontists that we're working with are in the USA. And our advisor, he has a massive network of orthodontists in the US. So that's why it's so important. It's just so much easier for us to get in there with his help.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I can hand it over to the next person. All right, let's keep the energy going. Let's get Claire ready to come on up. So Claire is about to come on stage. She is pitching Hive. They're working on something pretty cool. I won't spoil the surprise. I'll make sure that she is the one to let the cat out of the bag. But ladies and gentlemen, Claire, everyone.
Thanks. The noisy room. Thank you very much. Please, because I'm shaking.
There we go. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Claire Morgans, and I'm the head of marketing at Hive. You may have, we were actually recently announced as the world's boldest crowdsourced online innovation platform at the Bold Awards in Venice, Italy, and here's why. It's no secret in this room that the innovation problems we're facing at the moment are increasingly global. They're increasingly large-scale and complex, and the traditional methodology around consulting and problem-solving is no longer fit for purpose. Enter Hive. We're a crowdsourced consultancy online that taps into the latent expertise and skill sets of a broad, diverse membership community. By doing this, the insights that we surface are able to accelerate innovation, accelerate the rate of policy development to support that innovation, and promote collaboration across borders and across industries. Since commercialization in 2017, we've validated our value proposition in the Australian market, hosting challenges for Austrade, for the Prime Minister and Cabinet Office, and also for NRMA, who wanted to undertake outreach around infrastructure for transport. Our main competitive advantage is the speed and the quality of the insight that's surfaced from our network. We've spent the last 2 years building a high-value marketplace of minds, from government, from corporate, from education, and from peak bodies around Australia. And now we're looking to go global. Hive is a little bit different to the current idea management software. Our product is actually inside, and therefore we actually sit in the consultancy space, which unlocks a $145 billion total addressable market. Based on our product roadmap and our go-to-market strategy, we are confident we can achieve a $1.2 million recurring annual revenue by mid-2020. To do this, however, we needed to pivot very much from a high-touch service product to a scalable dual marketplace. Some people have referred to it as like an Airbnb for minds. To do this, we engaged Joseph Mark, who have got a proven track record of building complex community ecosystems that promote high-level engagement and retention and scale globally. They are a partner in our business. We understand that the value of our business is intricately linked to the growth and to the quality of the network itself. Therefore, network effects are at the heart of our business model. We have a diversified pricing strategy that allows for recurring subscription revenue on both sides of our network, premium add-ons for both organizations and individuals, and a percentage rate on a third-party tools marketplace, which is currently in the pipeline. We're excited to announce that we'll be beta testing to 80 corporations and government individuals on the 16th of April, validating 2.0 and the work we've done to close the gap with our service. On the 26th of April, we'll be launching the MVP in the market. And the main purpose, the MVP, is all about strengthening the product, strengthening the network, getting eyes on screens, getting people engaged and retained, both our past and new customers. We're seeking the investment to build out this product roadmap you see before you. We're already gathering structured data that's going to enable AI and machine learning around insight and innovation. But we also want to build a third-party tools marketplace that allows us to scale its value with relatively little investment. We're also working on a strategy for a Hive Academy, which is a Udemy model, which balances the dual marketplace value, allowing our contributors to monetize their thought leadership in this space. So our go-to-market strategy at this point is very much around building strategic partnerships globally and at home. So we have an MOU with Advance, which taps into a 50,000 Australian diaspora across 100 countries. My CEO, Bruce, is currently over in Europe and the UK signing MOUs to bring on memberships, high-value memberships like Horasis, Nesta, the Oxford and Cambridge Policy Labs. And we're looking to move into the US. Thank you.
That time goes by fast, doesn't it? Just zips by.
It goes so fast.
It does. It goes so fast. All right, let's make sure that we've got 3 minutes on the clock. This time's going to go by pretty fast too, or pretty slow.
Probably much slower, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. Judges, over to you.
Thank you.
Claire, great presentation.
Thank you.
You're democratizing kinds of consultancy in a very meaningful way. How does that work with me engaging with you? I need to find you. Then I've got one contact and all the information goes online. In terms of interaction, how does that work?
In terms of finding MindHive? Yeah, so the way we've built this at the moment is you come on board as an organization or as an individual?
I'll give you a project. I have a problem, you need to solve it.
So you would come to me and you say, we have this particular challenge we're trying to solve. We will work with you to refine that challenge, and then it's a simple case of a 15-minute build on the platform to structure that and get that out. You can then push that out to a private group of people that you wish to engage around this issue, or push it out to our 14,000 plus members, which we're hoping to scale exponentially.
Claire. Hello.
Hi.
What would be the best problem you'd like to solve in the next 12 months?
Oh, that's an exciting one. What problem would I like to solve? Brexit. That's quite an ambitious one, but I'll take it. You know, you bring more people to the table earlier, and I think you can get some really exciting strategy and engagement.
Who are your competitors in this space? Who are your competitors? Because you say crowdsourcing ideas, democratization of solutions is a growing area.
Yeah, so focusing on Australian competitors first, we've got people like Crowdicity, who do what they do extremely well, but they very much are a connection matchmaking platform. So they connect people with a problem to an expert. Where we differ is we're actually creating this ecosystem of insights. So what we're trying to do is say it's not just the experts that might have the solution. You need to sweep broader across sectors, across borders, and see what comes out.
Would you mind just putting your team slide back up, please?
Yeah, certainly. Fantastic.
What is your strategy to go outside Australia?
Yeah, certainly. So we've already made a lot of connections. As I said, Bruce, my CEO, was speaking at the Horasis meeting in Portugal. We're signing MOUs with a number of different organisations over there. We've been working with Advance to introduce us into the UK market and European market, particularly through their network. We're actually launching in the UK at Australia House later this month as well. So we're actually working with key members who we know through either our investment or our team to open up those networks for us.
How many clients do you have right now in Australia?
Right now, we currently have approximately 100. Not all of those are currently engaged.
100 corporations?
Well, we've had 200 clients, but they might be, for instance, it's a bit more complicated because you could have the Queensland government, but then you could have every department under that government and offshoots as well. So it's sort of, yeah, it's different.
Claire, just a quick question. You spoke about in your earlier development a metric of 25% plus retention. Yeah. Is that clients, contributors, or both?
That target for us was more around closing the gap from 1.0, because what we were finding is everybody understood the value proposition, but because the back-end build of what we were doing was clunky, they would build a challenge around a particular problem, but then weren't seeing the iterative potential of it. So what that retention rate is actually repeat challenges and repeat opportunities to engage.
All right,
Thank you.
Nicely done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, beautiful. Hey, so I had a funny message when I was standing over there. I'm supposed to say, those people that are upstairs, pipe down. That's what I don't know what pipe down means, but apparently piping down is what y'all got to do. So that's the thing. Someone's clapping. Maybe like that's piping down. All right. I'm super pumped to be able to introduce Rebecca. Rebecca and I, we've known each other for a few years, and she's about to jump on and deliver her pitch for Stars at 60. Rebecca, everyone.
this time and get my feet on the ground. I almost ain't got no more tears to fall down. I gotta be right this time.
The baby boomer is reinventing retirement. They don't want to get old, and nobody is really building the products they need to have a young, long, happy life. So what are we going to do about it? It's time to do something, and it's time to do it digital first. And that's what we're doing here at Starts at 60. We're taking travel, money, and health, the three most important pillars of a baby boomer's life, and bringing it to life on the internet. There's 6.7 million people over 60 in Australia, over 55 in Australia, and 100 million people in the US. That's 130 million people in the Western world. And they're doing $2.64 billion worth of travel in Australia alone, and $410 billion worth of travel in the US. 80% of the leisure travel market is made up of the baby boomer. So what are we? We're the biggest platform in the country, speaking to them in media. And then we've launched the biggest platform we can build over the next 3 years to bring them travel online to anywhere they want to go in the easiest ways from all the suppliers as a marketplace. How did we get here? We built what I am very proud of as the biggest media platform for baby boomers in the country. With 1.4 million people, we then built a travel platform that was B2B2C, and then we flipped it on its head. It moved $110 million worth of travel leads to suppliers all over the country. We flipped it on its head and we said, we've got to look after the baby boomer first. And we started curating travel products this year in September, 6 months ago. Since that day, we've sold $2.4 million worth of travel already, whilst in the middle of a funding round. And now we are moving post-round to deepen that commercialization into finance and health, the two other pillars, whilst expanding that travel platform proudly to its next stage of scale. The next stage that we're here for tonight to discuss with you is the stage of moving that successful business into the US, and that takes media and travel beyond our borders. We've made enormous traction. We've got $3.6 million worth of media revenue per annum last year, and we've done $2.4 million worth of revenue in travel. Just 6 months from a standing start with no track record from our customers alone and no marketing spend. And we've got 6.5 million page views a month, 1.46 million users, and are the most engaged media platform in Australia. The competitive advantage is all ours. The best customers in the country, the most amazing numbers in media, in the demographic in Australia. We compete against Bauer Media and Women's Weekly and Better Homes and Gardens, and we blow them out of the water. We've got media ad tech at the very forefront of our game. We've moved our audience from Facebook to direct platform over the last 2 years, while Facebook's been pinning digital publishers against the wall. Right? And we have built 100 meetups a month all around the country of baby boomers who do it because they love each other and want to do it together. Right? And then we have outshot everybody from the Sydney Morning Herald to the Women's Weekly and the youth market players like Pedestrian on engagement online. And 8% of our traffic comes from the US, and we haven't even started. Right? So, and then Travel at 60, 6 months into its new model, has all the suppliers you could dream of to package products. We have also put together a queue that's forming at the door of companies that want to work with us. We have 180,000 subscribers to our travel model, an amazing set of data sets into which we respect our user, and we can get speed to market where other companies can't. We compete with not the little players anymore, but the big players. We're pitching against News Limited and Fairfax when we pitch. And frankly, our team is bloody amazing. We have an executive team based here in Brisbane, a team of 25 in Sydney and Brisbane, and a growing team, and we're hiring if you're looking for a job. Our investors include Seven West Media.
All right, the sake of fairness, we do have to cut you off. The other teams didn't get some, so as much as I'd love to hold the tide, it's a hard one to hold, you know what I'm saying?
Sorry.
All right, so we do have 3 minutes on the clock. Judges, over to you. Again, grab it, throw it.
Rebecca, I look so much forward to turning 60 now after your presentation.
It's a pretty cool time of life.
All your metrics look really good, so I'm amazed. What I don't understand is, you know, you really, when you get older, you really don't want to talk about your age that much. So how can you make it cool that you actually become part of such a group? And why is your travel so much better than if I went to Expedia?
People will always go to Expedia. Expedia plays a very important role on the internet. But curated travel, specifically for the bucket list you want to live, is not something that Expedia will do for you. It will help you build your own travel. It won't help you build community. It won't help you build interesting and life-changing travel experiences. And we're seeing massive growth in package travel markets around the world.
But I do have other 60-year-old guys traveling with me then, though.
You don't have to. No, independent travel is a significant part of our packaging model.
That $2.4 million in travel, is that net revenue, sorry? Is that your margin?
Gross in travel, we only launched in September last year.
So what clip do you take?
Sorry, what clip do we take? At the moment we're running a 9.5% contribution margin in the early days, and we're looking to move that up to a 20% margin over the next period. It does take time to build overrides and scale.
Because they have money.
Well, it's the biggest travel market in the market, but you have to have scale in travel. It is not a small game, and to get the consumer the benefit, we've got to have scale. This is a $300 million travel business alone in Australia.
What is your exit strategy?
Our exit strategy. So in year 3, we'll be, if we do the current plan on the current capital we have in the bank, we will move to $5.2 million worth of EBITDA off our Australian business. And in year 5, we'll be looking to a $14 million EBITDA off the businesses we can see today. And we know we will find more opportunities along the way, but we're trying to keep it simple. That comes into multipliers that just blow your mind in this market. The exit doesn't have to be an exit. It can be a trading multiple or an exit, but we want to retain the opportunity to serve the market well. And if the right opportunities to continue to grow the business come along for exit, then we will take those too for our investors.
What are you raising?
We're raising 6 to 10 million US for our next stage, Steve. We did speak to you about the last one. And the reality of that is it's a Series B into the US. So we have a confident round just closed in Australia, which has got the growth of travel really underway. For us, the next stage is to take the proven traction and take the leap to do 4 states in the US, perhaps as Uli talked about before, and only enter the 4 biggest baby boomer markets of Texas, California, New York, and can I get the other one? Florida. And really, they're 4 times Australia in size. If we can nail those markets, they give us the best evidence of traction and give us only 4 exit points to work with in travel while we're doing it.
So that's a good strategy.
Nice. Tony, you got something?
Oh, just saying, what's your timeline for that?
So we're on a very fast growth trajectory now and moving into a very rapid 1-year plan on Australia. Meanwhile, we're looking at that US market to try and shore up our confidence in Australian metrics because we don't want to go until we know the numbers are working here. As we move, we just shipped online selling for travel last week. We only raised 2 weeks before that, so we've been sitting on a bootstrap model until then, proving it out with no money, running hard. Thank you to the team. And so for the next phase, anytime in the next year we can look at it, but we can't look at it if this business doesn't perform while we do it, so we just keep taking those steps forward.
I've got...
Awesome. Wow. Last one?
I've got just one information. I feel discriminated because the whole management team is all like 29 to 32, I guess. At least you need to have...
They're all women. There's lots of women.
At least you need to have some advisors that are 60 or plus.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Rebecca, everyone.
Thank you.
Great. Clicker is moving over. That's exactly what I need to see. Questions are being asked. People are clapping. Piping down of some sort is happening upstairs. All the checkboxes are being ticked. All right, I'm going to bust out the big word. We are at our penultimate pitch for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I won't hold it back any longer. We've got Simon from SensorWeb, everyone. Come on, let's give it up.
Good evening, I'm Simon. And my journey into SensorWeb begins over 10 years ago when I was decommissioning a nuclear reactor. How great is that for a start, right? I was seeing the way that we were doing radiation monitoring, and I could see it could and should be done better. At the moment, radiation is everywhere, so don't be afraid. At the moment, we're monitoring it, utilising devices like this, passive, old, analogue film badges. Now, these are worn by operators for 3 months. At the end of 3 months, they're all collected, and then they're sent off to be read. Then we have to wait another 3 months for that data to come back. So that's a pretty big problem. It increases the delay, which increases risk, but also that creates more usage, more hands, more analogue control by people. Now, this is a problem that's experienced by nuclear facilities, medical isotope production, airport security. And do you know what it really looks like for them to control their radiation like that? Have you ever driven a car without a speedo? Imagine driving a car without a speedo for 6 months and then having to gauge how you've been driving by the speeding tickets and the red light camera tickets that you get at the end of 6 months. Think about that while you think we're talking about a completely invisible hazard. We've invented the speedo for radiation monitoring. We've created both the devices for area monitoring, vehicle-mounted monitoring, and wearables. We've created the interface for controlling automated monitoring, automated reporting for quarterly and annual, but also immediate alerts to SMS and email. An organisation can take a look straight at their whole organisation in one look, or they can zoom into a facility, an operation, a project, a lab, a workshop, or they can look at an individual unit and look at the whole historical data of that unit, or create a report for 2 units. This extra information is great because it means that staff have a high level of assurance. Not just staff, but also the community. Now that folds back for the organisation because then they get greater support for future projects. Now we own all the IP because we've developed the interface and the devices in-house. And this is not a small market. Just in Australia, radiation monitoring is over $300 million a year. A total addressable market of $15 billion with an expected spend of over $700 billion in the US market alone over the next 5 years for upkeep of their nuclear facilities. Now we're approaching the market with a sensor as a service solution, as a subscription, and $3,000 a year. We provide a device, we provide our interface, but we also provide compliance calibration, so a fully maintained solution. We're going to be dealing directly with multinationals and also with Australian Nuclear and Australian Waste, whereas our channel partners will be dealing with medical facilities and international nuclear. At the moment, clients only have a couple of options, and that is 2 facilities that are dumbed units, but they're connected units that are currently being created are old technology and they don't provide the interface. There we go. We are only 1 year old, but over the last year we've created strategic alliances with technology that's coming out with nuclear reactors, the new technology in nuclear waste processing, and we're currently installed in a mineral processing facility. We are the right people to bring this into place because I've got over 15 years of nuclear management. We are SensorWeb. We are the future in nuclear and safety monitoring.
Power through. All right, there we go. Nice one. Let's keep the thing going. 3 minutes on the clock. Judges, over to you.
What's one of these things cost per year to run and maintain?
So, apart from the physical cost of your people having to collect them every 3 months, which is about 6 to 8 weeks of a person.
So you're charging $3,000. What's that cost?
That costs per person $55 per person.
Per year, per what?
Per month, per quarter.
So $600 a year. Yours is $3,000.
Yep. One piece of information versus 15 million.
Don't underestimate the cheapness of organisations.
Oh, absolutely do not until they get caught by compliance. And we've had a whole bunch of universities and mining companies just slapped over the wrist. So people are really looking forward to being proactive in the safety space.
Are you providing 6 times the value, or is it just 6 times the cost to keep this thing going? I mean, that's a massive differential, right?
So it's more than that. There's actually, the cheaper way is actually monitoring the hazard. We actually remove these out of a whole bunch of facilities by monitoring the hazard rather than the person. In most circumstances, we can completely remove personal dosimetry by putting less units in place.
Being a significant safety one, you actually started talking about compliance there. Is this something you're actually going to see the legislation change on? Because if you're talking about, there's like a 6-month delay in your speeding ticket currently, and suddenly someone says, oh, we can actually do this real time or as close to, are you actually going to see a compliance-driven change where this is going to become compulsory?
So I meet regularly with some regulators, and I've also been invited to speak at the International Atomic Energy Association around this, and they are the guidance creators and standards for international radiation control. We're already seeing that they're interested in moving forward, and this is an expected change, that people are going to shift to a greater safety control over radiation protection, because their greatest resource are their people, and if you want people to be working happily, then they need to be assured of their safety in the space.
Simon, I don't know if I missed that, but are you generating revenue yet? Or?
We are pre-revenue. We're in place and testing our facility, testing our units in a number of locations. Well, one location left at the moment.
So when you go live?
We're ready to go live. We just need to upscale, and part of our getting all our manufacturing ducks in a row is where we're at.
And so a year live, how much revenue can you generate? What's your assessment?
If we were to grab 3 airports and a nuclear facility, we're looking at potentially 800 units in place, maybe 750 units in place. We're looking at a revenue of $2.5 million with a generous buffer.
We got time for one more. Any last takers? I know people were clamoring before.
What's your funding? What's your funding plan then to get the scale up?
So we're 100% bootstrapped to this point. So all research and prototyping and development to the units that we've got have been completely off our own back. What is our model to get that? Well, it's either a high-value client by utilising some of our strategic partnerships we've already got, or a grant or investment. Happy to go either of those ways at the moment.
Thanks, Zork, Simon. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon, everyone, give it up, please. All right, so we have come to the final pitch for the night. This man has you know how some people talk and they just sound smart? This guy has that, and he's also smart. He kind of has the accent that I wish I had, so that I actually sound smart. Won't hold it off any longer. Please help me in welcoming Nigel, everyone. Let's go, let's go.
Hello, I'm Nigel Greenwood, and we are Diabetes Neuroethics. We are a medical AI company building the world's first genuinely machine-intelligent artificial pancreas software appropriate for the people who need it most. So, insulin is a hormone used by the human body to regulate blood glucose. Type 1 diabetes is a disease that kills all the insulin-producing cells in the body, leaving the body unable to regulate blood glucose adequately. In the absence of anything else, type 1 is 100% fatal. So people with it have to take insulin for the rest of their lives. Problem is, it's an extremely difficult thing for 75% of people with type 1 to do properly. If they get it wrong, they risk blindness, kidney failure, and other organ damage. So there is a global race by people to produce artificial pancreas technology to get insulin right. Problem with that is that everyone else working in the artificial pancreas space is approaching the easy end and neglecting the end that needs it most, so-called brittle type 1 diabetes. So our solution is a completely new form of AI, embodied in software, partly in the cloud, partly in an app. We take data from the medical devices that people with diabetes use and use it to generate new insulin strategies. So what has us separate from everyone else? Well, this is a day in the life of someone with brittle type 1 from Westmead Hospital in Sydney, and it's a bit of a nightmare. It's a roller coaster. Those are his glucose levels going up and down. Nobody could help a chap like this until they could offer a personalized computational model of diabetes in his body, and nobody in the world could do that. Until now. You are looking at organ-scale personalized medicine for type 1 diabetes. So, market size. Well, what can I say? It's a pandemic. There are hundreds of millions of people with diabetes. There are hundreds of millions more in the pipeline, so that endocrinologists refer to the tsunami that's confronting the globe. Of those, between 7 and 12% have type 1, and they're already disproportionately very, very expensive. They're costing the US economy, for example, over $22 billion a year, and it's growing steeply. So, traction and recognition. We have partnered with Westmead Hospital. We've got significant international recognition over the last year. The standout there is the Artificial Intelligence X Prize has listed us, as of last December, as one of their top 10 AI teams in the world. We have an international team. Jenny Gunton is past president of the Australian Diabetes Society. Jim is co-founder of a famous pharma company. Sir Michael literally wrote the book on corporate governance, and I do the maths. Competitors. Now, all of our competitors are fine on the left-hand side of the spectrum, but there are big problems on the right. We do not regard them as credible in the top 30%, so that's our bridgehead. And then we push down. We are superior in safety, efficacy, and cost on the 56%, and then we will use our momentum to dominate the rest. We have a software as a service revenue model. We have a pipeline of 3 products, 1 research tool to get revenue moving, and then 2 clinical tools. We're raising money for a clinical study this year to establish our risk benefit to our ultimate customers, who are medical insurers. Our funding status, well, this is the result of decades of work, very strong patent position, currently doing Series A. The tsunami is upon us, but being good Australians, we can teach the diabetics how to surf the wave.
Man, channeling a bit of Winston Churchill thing going on over there, rallying the troops. All right, let's get the 3 minutes on the clock and let's get the judges going.
Nigel,
yes.
I think this is a great idea you're working on. Thanks. Knowing that the medical field has obviously lots of regulations in the US FDA, what's your situation there? Can you roll this out?
Yes. The US FDA has a fast track for the artificial pancreas, specifically because it is such a crisis in the US. There's also a thing called an investigational device exemption that we can go for with the FDA. We get a medical insurer to sponsor us, and that means that it's faster to deploy and indeed get some revenue during the clinical trialing process. It's fully explainable. I didn't get a chance to talk about that, but unlike all other forms of AI, it is completely explainable, which means that, for example, we pass the General Data Protection Regulation in the EU, which no other form of AI in medicine currently does.
So one thing is it's good for the patient.
Yes.
How is it with regard to cost then to go through the healthcare system, which is obviously critical?
Yes. Well, for the medical insurers, it's very, very important. Because, okay, let's walk through the numbers. There are 3 medical insurers in the US that have 120 million patients among them. Of those, about 960,000 have type 1. Now, of those, the deep 30%, the brittle 30%, spend on average 5.5 days in hospital a year. If we could cut that down to nil for just that demographic, we will be saving those insurers $3.5 billion a year. Now, we probably won't cut it down to nil, but if we can shave off $1 to $2 billion, I'm sure they'll be very happy.
But that will take time to convince them, though, because nobody's going to give you
the good
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, the good thing about diabetes is it's dense data, and one reason we're starting with the brittle is there's really clear before and after. So it makes it a very simple sort of this is the previous medical history, now we go forward. Efficacy, safety, quality of life, and there's a marker there, HbA1c. The US CDC established really clear metrics. If you can get that down, each percent you get that down, you're reducing risk by 40% of chronic disease. So that's why we want HbA1c this year in the clinical study. And then by doing that, we'll establish a very clear set of metrics for the insurers.
Nigel, I was mindful of your time ticking over a bit. Well done on the awards. I guess on the back of the reimbursement question, can you just talk us through a little bit more of your revenue model? Is it direct to patient, or are you going via any other device suppliers? Just unpack that for us.
The first clinical technology is deliberately device and insulin agnostic. It can run on an iPad. It's massively stable, so we can do what a lot of our competitors can't do and just put it out on a separate device. We don't need the cooperation of OEMs. We don't need the cooperation of insulin manufacturers. We would be both approaching the approaching directly the insurers, plus also people like JDRF. Obviously, there is a massive ground-up community for people with diabetes. So we'd be approaching both JDRF and the insurers as a double-pronged thing. We're trying to minimize the amount that the actual people have to pay, but we can make a compelling case for the insurers, so that should be okay under the American HCPCS reimbursement system.
And what's that time gap?
Right. We are we're hoping to actually get regulatory clearance by about 21, 22 for the iPad device. It'll be another couple of years for a fully automated version, which would then require the cooperation of a pump manufacturer. But that first version we call Shows Me, you don't need cooperation from OEM. So yeah, 21, 22 is what we're aiming for. Okay.
Nice. Nigel, thank you so much. All right, so yeah, you know what? I'll hold on to it. I'll hold on to that. Yeah, I'll hold on to that. Beautiful. All right, so guess what? We're done. We are done. So here's what's going to happen next. Before you guys jet and like run off and go somewhere that you're not supposed to go off, this is what's going to happen next, right? So these lovely people over here have the tough task of going away and on a very short time constraint, come back within 15 minutes with a decision around who's going to actually represent us in going to the Star World Cup. That's going to happen. So, but when they are ready, I'm going to be coming back on stage and giving you guys a holler and letting you know that's going to happen. In the meantime, what's going to happen is that bar over there is going to start looking really, really cool and lit up, and people are going to be there serving you alcohol. Head over that way. Get sauced up. Do what you got to do. Talk amongst yourselves, like the teachers like to say. And we'll see you in 15. All right? Thanks, everyone.
You know, you make me feel so good inside. I've always wanted a girl just like you. Such a PYT, pretty young thing. Where did you come from, baby? And ooh, won't you take me there right away? Won't you, baby? Tenderoni, you've got to be. Spark my need, just sugar fly with me. Don't you know now is the perfect time? We can make it right near the city lights. Winter night, ease the love and pain. Let me take it to the max. I want to love you, pretty young thing. You need some loving, tender love and care, and I'll take you there, girl. I want to love you, pretty young thing. You need some loving, tender love and care, and I'll take you there. Yes, I will. Nothing can stop this burning desire to be with you. Gotta get to you, baby. Won't you come as emergency? Cool my fire, yearning, honey, come set me free. Don't you know now is the perfect time? We can dim the lights just to make it right in the night. Hit the love spot. I give you all that I've got. I want to love you, pretty young thing. You need some loving, and the love and care, and I'll take you there. Yes, I will. Yes, I want to love you, pretty young thing. You need some loving, and the love and care, and I'll take you there. Yes, I will. Repeat after me. Say na na na, na na na, na na na, na na na. Say na na na, na na na, na na na, na na na. Oh, take it there, take it there. I want to love you, pretty young thing. You need some loving, the love and care, and I'll take you there, take you there, take you there. I want to love you, pretty young thing. You need some loving, and the love and care, and I'll take you there, take you there. You and I could, just get together. Such a PYT to me, pretty young thing.
The look in your eyes is more than enough to make my poor heart burst into flame. Knew from the moment we met that there was no
myself, so I don't know if people can hear me or not. Can you guys hear me? Oh, there we go. I can hear myself now. This is not for the general public. If you're part of the general public, do not worry about this message. But if you pitched today, please make your way into the green room or outside the green room. Okay, decision made outside the green room right now. So if you did pitch today, please head outside the green room immediately. If you're hugging your pal, cease hugging your pal and move outside the green room. If you're talking to your pal that's wearing a t-shirt that says Lessons from Success, cease talking to your pal.
We're not allowed in the green room.
Outside the green room. The area, I don't know where that is, but outside the, so.
If we could actually get them on stage for a photo, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what the go, they're needed out there for now, so.
Apparently it's all right. We make it quick.
No, but they're already on the way out. That's what I'm saying. Outside the green room. So Anne-Marie knows where. Look at Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, put your hand up, please, ladies and gentlemen. Anne-Marie, everybody. All right, if you're a founder, if you pitch today, you need to haul ass over to Anne-Marie, and she's going to take you somewhere. If you're wearing a Lessons from Success t-shirt, stop talking to your pal. Let him go where he needs to go. Thank you. Everyone else, keep the alcohol flowing into your mouths. Thank you.
And I can't let you go. You are the one who makes me feel so real. Yeah. Oh, what am I supposed to do? Oh, what am I supposed to do, baby, when I'm so hooked up on you? Then
Oh, hello. Okay, I just got told to start herding cats. So if you guys see a cat, grab one. Because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So listen, everyone, the judges are really, really close to arriving at a decision. I think by now they might just be sitting there playing patty cake just to add to the drama, but I really, really do think that they're done. So start making your way back, right? If you guys are over at the bar, start making your way back. I almost said waking your may back. And those that are upstairs, you don't need to pipe down. Just keep doing what you're doing. You guys are fine. But I wanted to give you guys the heads up, all right? See you in a few moments when the judges do come out. Yeah, nice. Are they? You're not sitting back down anymore. Beautiful. Back, everyone. Judges are back in the building. Lovely, beautiful. We got the startups. We got the judges coming up. Got the startups coming up. Got Tony coming up. This is all starting to happen. We got that nice little trophy over there that they bought just for me because I did such a good job at emceeing this thing. All right, let's pull focus, everyone. We got the startups coming back up, and this is really the pivotal moment where we're going to get to hear who has come out tops for the night. I feel like we're organizing like a school photo. Are we organizing a school photo? Sure looks like it, right? There are a whole bunch of smiles. That's all I really care about. So I bet that was I wish I was a fly on the wall in that room. I bet it was a really intense conversation. Hey, Tony, could you tell us a bit more about that process, what it was like, whether it was a really tough one? Tell us a bit more about that.
Sweet. I guess what I want to do right now is actually two pieces. One is, was it a tough process? Hell yes. I actually have no idea how long we were in there for. We thought we'd go in there, add some numbers up, and it would take 5 minutes and we'd be out. I think we analyzed this from about 30 different directions, which was kind of cool. It was incredibly tight. We also, with full declaration, is given the number of businesses and the nature of a lot of where they come from, and the people who are here as judges, there's a bucket load of conflicts of interest up here. So we have people amongst us who are investors in some of these companies, on the boards of some of these companies, and all this sort of stuff. And so talking about people's like pulling blankets over their head and whispering, sort of say, I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but. So that's why we did it sort of so many different ways to actually sort of see where the hell do we land. So yeah, it was a painful process. That said, before we actually make the announcement, there's something else I want to do. Because right now I have 1,000% attention. I can see every eyeball in the place just staring at me, and all the phones are out. So while I've actually got that, there's something I actually want to do before we actually announce the winners. And that's actually go back to where we started the evening. And it's the story about how tonight happened. And basically how it happened within a space of 5 weeks. And just out of curiosity, by the way, when you actually watched all 10 pitches tonight, who was pretty damn impressed? Yeah. Like, we have some amazing revenue-based companies here. We got some amazing tech companies. One of the things we always look at is basically, are you solving real problems? Are you actually impacting people's quality of lives and everything else? And there's an amazing array of all of that tonight, which I think is super cool. what I want to do is to say go back. There's a whole bunch of people that have actually made tonight possible. And we talked earlier about some of the sponsors, and we saw some of the sponsors up on the board before, and as I say, Brisbane Marketing and the Queensland Government and everything else. There's a whole bunch of individuals in there as well. And so driving a lot of this stuff has been Kat Matson and Nicole Kelly. I think most of us actually know Kat and Nicole from Brisbane Marketing and Innovation and Advanced Queensland and all sorts of stuff. There are so many people that have actually sprung out of that. And I think about also who are the people that I've been on the phone to constantly or actually in my email inbox constantly for the last 5 weeks, who are not part of the key team here, but they've actually been going, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? How can I make this happen? And some very consistent names always come up with that. So Monica Bradley, Purposeful Capital, she's always out there. Mon gives tirelessly to this ecosystem and have massive respect for that. Mark Katowski from CEA, and a couple of levels. One, when this idea was first floated, the very first person that stood beside me and said, fuck yeah, let's make this work, was Mark. And basically, and it's like the whole thing about getting QTCA and everything else behind us has been awesome. Another person that comes to mind, and I'm going to miss people out, and I am so apologetic for that, but someone, Angela Dalkey also from QUT, because it's literally, again, every second day there's been messages, what else can I do? How can I do this? Okay, here's some judges. Actually, how do I put these people forward? And so there's been this amazing process. A lady I met recently that I think has an amazing potential to do some amazing stuff, basically, for our ecosystem, not just locally, but actually globally. She's already done this, and that is Janelle Casey from Austrade. And I'm sure Janelle's hiding somewhere up in the dark area. But there's some amazing people that just suddenly step into the spotlight and just turn and say, how can I help? What can I do? And how can I leverage things? And Janelle's certainly been one of those, and super appreciative. And as I say, Austrade and Landing Pads have seriously stepped up tonight and helped us out. And so that's super cool. And we'll come back and talk a bit more about that in a moment. But what I do want to do is embarrass the shit out of 4 people in particular. So can I please, where's Isaac Holmyard? I don't know where you are in the house, Isaac, but get your butt down here on stage in 30 seconds. Peter Laurie. Andrew Taylor. And Jackie Fletcher. Where's Isaac? Is he still in the house?
Isaac's getting food.
What do you mean Isaac's getting food?
That's unsurprising.
Someone please find Isaac, take the food out of his hand, tell him we'll feed him later. I'd love him to be up here. One other thing I want to do while we're just filling in time and really drawing out this whole process of announcing the winner, and I'm going to, when Isaac finally turns up, we'll do something. There's actually someone else that's really cool in the house tonight as well. Actually submitted for the Startup World Cup. Amazing technology. I really love to see this stuff get up and fly. But what actually makes that so special is actually his birthday today. And that's Santi. So where are you, Santi? Over in the corner. How many people do not know Santi? All right. Santi's the dude with the cute dog over in the corner. And he's an amazing character, and it's beautiful to be able to wish him a happy birthday today. He's also the first sight-impaired person studying for an electrical engineering degree in Australia, and is doing some amazing stuff. So to do that, oh! Now, a bit like I talked about Mark before, when we actually first turned around and said, let's actually make this thing happen, Isaac was someone that just went, hell yeah, let's do this. What can I do? How can we get the resources behind it? How can we marshal people? How can we actually get the satellite streams and everything else happening? And been going through a whole world of pain of his own and sort of what's going on in various parts of the ecosystem right now, which we won't explore, but that's all super cool. everyone who knows Peter Lorre? Everyone does, and he's just an amazing human that just gives back massively to this ecosystem continuously. And so actually said, all right, who's behind this? Pete went, yep. That's about as excited as he gets, but he's like, yep. And you just know he's going to do cool shit over an extended period of time. So organize the pitch coaching workshops, the stuff at Code and Codex, and then he and I spent the day yesterday with most of the pitchers or the finalists doing stuff. He just gives tirelessly of his time and energy and organizing. And there are other people that actually stepped into that as well. So Wes is in the house somewhere as well. All these people I'm calling out, they've probably given free drink tags tonight, so they're all sitting up on the balcony. We're going to get you all down. We're going to put the fire alarm shortly and get you all to come down here. But so there's been an amazing group of people that I actually stepped up behind. One of the things I absolutely suck at is detail and organization. But we had 2 people turn up that actually are amazing in this space. So seriously, without Jackie and Andrew, none of this would have actually happened. And the beauty is say, all these people, oh, is your mum here as well? As I said, the reality is this is all done completely volunteer in their spare time. If you look through our Slack chat records and everything else, the number of AMs in there that should not be is quite amazing. So I'd like everyone here, and for anyone that I've actually forgotten that I should be having on this list right now, I super apologize because there are so many people, but I just like everyone in this room to basically lift the roof off and say thank you to this amazing group of people who made this work. The other exciting part of the news is that landing pads, even though they've actually sponsoring the sort of part of the trip and everything over it, I understand that there's something else that's happening as well. That maybe there's an extension of the bar, so between landing pads and Austrade, we've heard that this little bar down here has been open for another hour. So just to entice people to hang around, network, do some deals, whether you're a founder, whether you're an investor, whatever else. Awesome. Yeah, thanks the feds. Anything, any of the judges, other than for me to say awesome, thank you. Again, short notice. I know each of you guys are incredibly busy, crazy schedules, and so if you actually come and give your time this evening as well, and your insight is absolutely fabulous. So massively appreciate that as well. Thank you. Thank you all. Do you want to come talk about landing pads? Do just want to give a shout out because, all right, really bad. Kathleen? Yeah, Kathleen has actually come up from Sydney for this event and is now the new global landing pad manager for Austrade and everything else. So, and as one of the sponsors, so we got Brisbane Marketing and Advanced Queensland stuff, and then basically landing pads are also supporting the winner to actually come to Silicon Valley. So only fair. Welcome.
Thank you, Tony. I will keep this quick because I'm sure we want to hear who the winner is. But I want to just say this is a testament to the Brisbane ecosystem and the power of the support behind that. So it's really exciting to be here and to be sponsoring this event. And part of the Landing Pads program, the opportunity that we want to give to the finalist is the opportunity to join one of our 5 global landing pads. So we have 5 locations in Tel Aviv, Berlin, Shanghai, Singapore, and San Fran. And so we're giving the opportunity for them to join our program later this year or next year and to look at expanding their business globally. So really excited to have you guys on board.
Who wants to know who's going to San Francisco? We do. All right, Retno, can you come and join me, please? So part of what they were actually vying for, you might have watched on the video earlier, is a massive version of this, but tonight we're actually looking at the mini version, Startup World Cup. And if you want to, as Dee pointed out before, yeah, this process is incredibly challenging. We actually took a lot of things into account and looked at it 55 different ways. It was very close and basically said, perfect. As you said, it's very much about technology challenges, lead time. We're actually looking about traction and revenue and who can actually benefit from this type of experience in the short term. Then we would like to welcome Starts at 60 to join us in Silicon Valley. Bag carrier?
That's no problem.
Can you get one with the three of us? Do that.
Oh, come in.
Do you want to take one of those? Taking the big. The extension of this, as I said, it was a very tough call. And the flip side is there are already conversations occurring about having investment conversations with some of the others actually up here on the stage. So this is almost a bit like how do you actually hand out multiple prizes when there's actually only one. We're actually, and I'm not sure if there was one group or presenter that Steve actually said, talk to my people tonight. I'm not sure he even picked up on that. He did? You got it? All right, sweet. That's always the sort of outcome you're looking for. So congratulations to everyone. The quality of what you've presented, the ideas, the various stages you're at is outstanding. As I said, across the whole cohort that actually applied for the Startup World Cup and the online stuff is amazing quality. The future of Australia is looking really strong in terms of our tech. We've got to get better at the whole collaboration thing. We've got to get better at the whole working together as a nation. It's something that we're actually really struggling with. But I think what we've demonstrated tonight is when you do pull together, we can achieve some amazing things. So on that note, final shout outs, basically again, apparently the live stream is still awesome. So, and so basically that's still going. So some of the people have actually been talking to their business partners on the other side of the world who have been watching this, which is super cool. And I'm actually gonna let him close out the event this evening because I just love the way he does this shit and I love the sound of his voice. But I just make to, again, make a huge shout out to Dee, who stepped in to actually be MC for this.
Awesome. She kind of did the job for me, so that was really nice and easy. Everyone, we went through like a brutal 10. Like you were sitting there, they were sitting there, you guys were trying to stay on time, you guys were trying to stay on time, you guys were clapping them out. So it's a huge effort, I think, from everyone. I think in the spirit of everyone collaborating and really working together, this is a huge testament to all that. So give everyone a round of applause, yourselves included, right? So I want to close out just by saying, if you have any images, I'm going to be that nag. Hashtag SWC_Australia 2019. We'll see you next year. We'll see you guys next year. Have a great night, everyone.
Hello. All right, all the shadow dwellers up the top. All the cool people are down here. All the people you want to network with and invest in and actually figure out. So let's actually bring all the shadow dwellers from upstairs and get you down here, and let's actually keep this party going. Well done, everyone.